The summer stretch of IndyCar continues in America's heartland. The quiet town of Lexington, Ohio, with its quaint shops and relaxing reservoir, is set to come alive with the sound of horsepower. Today, the Verizon IndyCar Series returns to the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course for the 33rd time. With its flowing hills and curves, this track provides fans with amazing views of every corner. The local fans are here to cheer on their hometown hero, Graham Rahal, the winner 2 years ago. He'll be chasing the most recent IndyCar winner, Joseph Newgarden. Last year's Mid-Ohio winner, Simon Pagenaud, sits third in points, and he'll be a factor. The battle at the front of the championship also includes 20-year veteran Helio Castroneves, still seeking his first IndyCar title, and he's just 3 points back. All are trying to hunt down Scott Dixon, a five-time winner here and four-time series champion. 2 weeks ago at Toronto, Dixon and Power came together on the opening lap, and Power finished last. Today, he starts on pole, hoping to regain lost points. Welcome to IndyCar Live, presented by Verizon, where in just 45 minutes, the green flag will start this 90-lap race. It's late July, but you couldn't ask for any better weather or circumstances than this. It's been great to be in Central Ohio, right between Columbus and Cleveland this weekend. Thanks for joining us. I'm Kevin Lee. Look at this vantage points we have. We have the main stretch right behind us. We can see pit road as well. And one of the great things about being around IndyCar and what we get to do, we call it a job, is that we see so many different vantage points, so many different unique locations. Every race weekend is different for the drivers and the fans alike. Now, this is the fourth of 6 road course events this season. 2 more to come. They'll decide the championship at the end of the year. But after this, it's 2 more ovals, Pocono and Gateway, coming up. As far as news this weekend, our first story is not here at Mid-Ohio. It's back at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and it's looking to 2018. Common body kits for Chevy and Honda unveiled in the Super Speedway configuration, and we'll see the road course kit here open to the public at Mid-Ohio on Tuesday. Now here at the track, Michael Andretti's team has been quick this weekend. It hasn't gone as well as they'd like throughout the season, although they did win the Indy 500 for the 3rd time in 4 years. But fast here, and Takuma Sato is going to start 3rd today. Simon Pagenaud won this race last year from the pole, but he's not going to start as far up as he would like. He didn't make it into the Fast 6. Good car, though. He's going to start 7th. But Penske is on the front row. Joseph Newgarden is going to start 2nd, and Will Power won his 3rd pole here, 5th of the season, and 49th of his career. And for Team Penske, it's pole number 9 in 13 races this season. 2 weeks ago at Toronto, they also started on the pole, and we thought we knew what was going to happen, but some speed, some sound strategy, and some luck shook up the results. It's round 12 of 17 in the 2017 Verizon IndyCar Series. It's the Honda Indy Toronto.
Life will be no highway today. This, drivers will tell you, is the most challenging track of the season.
Dixon with a narrow points lead over Castroneves, but all those Penske guys fighting each other.
And here we go. Here's Castroneves coming to the inside. He'll get around his teammate. Castroneves into turn 1 from 3rd to 1st for the lead.
Will Power made contact. Saturn back to front right makes contact with Scott Dixon. Will Power's not going to make it out of turn number 3.
With that one move, 3 corners into this race, Scott Dixon goes 35 points behind Castroneves.
What a swing in the championship. It is going to be shaken up before we're done today. In a lockup, Arcanon, and he's going to go up. And are we going to get a yellow? One of the leaders going to be in trouble because they stayed out. Newgarden dodges the bullet. Joseph Newgarden uses strategy to his advantage, and the championship is even tighter. Joseph Newgarden has won again on the streets of Toronto.
And with that big win in Toronto, Joseph Newgarden closest to within 23 points of the championship lead, and adding to that fact, your best qualified position of the year here. Do you feel like momentum is turning your way, Joseph?
Yeah, I mean, it swings quickly. You know, you look at the championship and it goes back and forth pretty fast. And you know, I don't know if the momentum is swinging our way, but we're certainly hoping to capitalize on the second half more than the first half of the year. I think we were good in the first half of the year. We had speed, you know, we had potential for results, but we weren't as consistent as we needed to be. So that's what we're really focusing on. We got to be consistent here to the finish, and I think, you know, I keep saying that the person that does that the best is going to be the champion. So it's all about having good races, not having any problems.
And Joseph, as we know, all 4 Penske cars are fighting each other tooth and nail. And then you have Chip Ganassi racing with Scott Dixon. They're doing everything they can to help his championship. How do you see that panning out?
Well, it's always tough. Look, Scott's always going to be difficult. Chip Ganassi racing, they're always tough. But I got guys like Simon helping me out. We got such a great crew at Team Penske. You know, all the drivers get along so great, and we have a good working relationship. And I think that's why you see all 4 of us in the top 5. You know, we work well together, trying to get the most out of the team. You know, our goal is always to put one Team Penske car in victory lane. I hope it's a PPG car today. That would be the best. But if we get one of those 4 cars in victory lane, we always see it as a success.
All right, Kevin. Joseph Newgarden gunning for his win, his first win at Mid-Ohio.
And it was the PPG car getting to victory lane last year, but with Simon Pagenaud. And look at the championship, how tight the top 4, and keep in mind, 50 points on offer for a win, so Power, Rahal, and Sato, who starts up near the front, are still in play. Helio Castroneves, second in the championship. It's the only thing missing from his career. Jan Beekes is with him right now.
And you talk about those 3 championship points, and I know that at this point you thought maybe you'd be leading, but psychologically, is it better still at this point of the year to be chasing?
Well, I don't know. I mean, obviously there's 5 races to go. There's so many points in the game. I think the approach, obviously, it takes what it comes. Hitachi car today seemed to be very, very good, especially after the warm-up. And there is no right or bad. I've been in both situations. Right now, I'm taking every race at a time, and hopefully we're going to take the best out of today.
Now, of course, the person you're battling is Scott Dixon. You're starting next to Scott, and the 2 of you had contact last year. Is that on your mind?
Well, he's starting next to me, and I tell you what, I don't see any. Hopefully there is no issues what happened last year. I thought it was just a racing incident. He went a little bit over trying to do some, open the door that was a little bit close, but I feel that both of us have the same interest in terms of points, and I feel both of us are going to play smart today.
All right, well, they'll play smart, and certainly a fantastic championship scenario. Kevin?
Well, Jan, he appears very motivated. That run he made into turn 1 a couple of weeks ago was strong, and it was on his teammate Simon Pagenaud, who has been so remarkably consistent. We'll talk to him about his championship hopes and today coming up in just a little bit. You're watching IndyCar Live, brought to you by Verizon. Go inside IndyCar all season. Download IndyCar mobile from Verizon. Plenty more to come. Stay with us from Mid-Ohio.
Dixon will see the checkered flag for the 3rd consecutive race.
Scott Dixon gets the double checkers and wins his 20th career race.
He's done it better than anybody.
He'll move to the top step of the podium as the twin checkers wave in a league of his own.
Victory for Scott Dixon, his 4th here at Mid-Ohio.
For the 5th time, Dixon dominates Mid-Ohio. Scott Dixon just continues to stack them up.
Back here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, or a track that might as well be called the Scott Dixon Sports Car Course. He's won here 5 times, and Scott, you're surrounded by some very hungry Team Penske drivers. How do you overcome them today, much like you did at Road America?
It's quite a normal situation, I think, but yeah, it's definitely been a great track for us, especially at Chip Ganassi Racing. I think they've won here 11 times, 5 myself, so going for number 6 today, but you know, we're not in the greatest starting spot. You know, position 6, we're going to have to try and, you know, hopefully make something happen on the start, but for us, you know, we just got to stay out of trouble. You know, Toronto was definitely a rough one for us, but big weekend for Honda, and obviously we want to get this NTT data car on the podium at some stage.
And we've obviously seen completely different strategy with the 2 teams. Team Penske, all 4 drivers fighting tooth and nail, and we've seen, you know, Tony Kanaan letting you by a couple of times. How do you think that's going to help the championship for you?
We'll have to see how it plays. I think for us, when you're in a championship hunt, you constantly think of the bad races that you had. What we had at Indianapolis, what we had at Texas. I think we should have won at St. Pete and Long Beach. Those are the ones that play on your mind. A lot of the given points that you maybe should have had. But we just got to play it out. We got to give it our all, and try and win races. We'll worry about the championship and how that plays out when we get close to Sonoma.
Well, guys, Scott Dixon won here from 6th in 2007. Let's see if he can do it again.
All right, thank you, Anders. And you can follow Scott Dixon, the master of Mid-Ohio, all day with Verizon streaming and his on board. Go inside IndyCar all season. Download IndyCar Mobile from Verizon. Let's talk about and talk to his teammate a little bit. Katie Hargett is with Tony Kanaan.
And we are now getting into the thick of this season, especially for the championship battle. And Tony, twice we have seen you let your teammate and points leader Scott Dixon by. Why?
Well, you got to think about it as a team. We have Entity Data as the same sponsor, and sometimes we start the year, Chip gives us all the same opportunities to succeed. And then by this point of the championship, whoever is in front, we got to try to help each other out. I'm not saying we would give up a win, but when you're talking about a few years back when we won a championship by 1 or 2 points, that could be detrimental at the end of the year. So, you're running 8th, between 8th and 9th, it's 2 points, and then sometimes I'm not, I don't have a problem doing that. Obviously, if it's for a podium or a win, it'll be a whole different beast. But I'm a part of an organization that I want it to be successful, and you have to learn how to be a teammate sometimes. I've been on the other hand when me and Dario fought for the championship in the same team, so it's all good. But if it's for the win, it's not happening.
And we'll let Tony Kanaan get back to the fans. He's going to try to get his first win here at Mid-Ohio today.
Oh, the fans love TK. As you said, he hasn't won here, but he's finished 4th before, and he's with the team to be with. He's only run 3 times for Ganassi here. And Ganassi's team and Penske's team, they've been dominant here. They're good everywhere else, but 18 combined wins here at Mid-Ohio. The next most for a car owner is 3 at Mid-Ohio. Scott Dixon has won 5 of those, and Ganassi has won 6 of the last 8. But last year, it was the captain's team winning for the 8th time here, and that was a really interesting race with many twists and turns, taking us back a year ago here to Mid-Ohio, a defining moment in the championship.
Points leader Simon Pagenaud finishing behind teammate Will Power for the last 6 races in a row.
Green, green, green.
Here we go.
Dixon.
Here, he's done. He went for a dive bomb on Castro Neves.
Your leader, Mikhail Aloshin, he's looking pretty good here at Mid-Ohio. Big hit. And for Mikhail Aloshin, this is a nightmare. Now you've got to race it out with all the big boys on pit lane. This could be the race right here.
Hey, look out! Oh, there's contact. Mikhail Aloshin and Joseph Dugard.
Heartbreak for Aloshin. That pit stop really hurt him.
And we restart here at Mid-Ohio.
Pagenaud's making a move on the outside. They touch.
Pagenaud, power, contact. Pagenaud inside.
Oh,
they
hit
get
again.
it done. And Pagenaud comes out ahead. Connor Daly continuing to lead. Is he going to be able to make it?
Pit this lap.
He's coming in.
That should hand the lead to Pagenaud. Simon Pagenaud, victory at Mid-Ohio.
Woo! Great drive in there. Nice job, thank you guys.
There's that boost of confidence that Pagenaud and his crew needed.
And Kevin, of course, it was an incredible performance last year for Simon Pagenaud. And Simon, you kind of flexed your muscles last year in the race here, kind of asserted yourself saying, I'm going for the championship. Is this the time of the year you do it again?
Yeah, it's a very important race for the championship. There's only 5 races to go, and it's heating up. There's a lot of us that can contend for it, so it's really time to get going. It's going to be an interesting race. Here there's always a bit of a surprise. There's often that yellow that comes out early and shakes things up. So we'll see. We have a really strong race car. I was very happy in the warm-up. We'll see. Hopefully we have something cooking. Yeah, like I said, this, also we don't have much information on the red Firestone tires, so we'll see how long they last. They're very fast, but I felt like the blacks were really good this morning.
All right, remember now, he started last year from pole. This year it'll be a little bit more difficult for Simon Pagenaud, starting in 7th. But the guy who does start on pole, his teammate, 49th pole for Will Power. And we talked in the Toronto airport, and you kind of had a plan. You said, I know how to map this out and go for the championship. This obviously is a great start.
Yeah, it is. Here, man, it's so hard to pass. Obviously, you've got the yellows and where they fall that's got to play into it, but I feel like we've got a good race car, and probably going to be a little bit of a fuel game at the start there, because going longer is better here, but if you get caught out by a yellow, you go into the back.
Now, I mentioned Toronto. That was a good opportunity for points that didn't happen with the contact down in turn number 3. You kind of hinted that maybe you didn't think you should be in that position. Now you've had time to think about it. How do you assess Toronto and what happened?
Yeah, I mean, it's always in hindsight, you look at it and then go, why didn't, but there was a gap there, and Scott moved very aggressively to the left. I don't know if he was avoiding someone, and unfortunately, ended our day. So nothing you can do about it, move on, and really, really try to have a great day today.
All right, well, Kevin, he's done the math. 64 points behind, that is not unsurmountable.
It is not, and he can become the first 3-time winner this season if he gets it done here today. Look at the fans that are assembled down on the pit lane. They've been gathering all weekend and early here this morning. Plenty of reasons for the fans to love this place and for the drivers to enjoy it too.
Mid-Ohio, I'd like to say the Ganassi track. Definitely a lot of fun for us, over I think 10 or 11 victories for the team, maybe 5 for myself.
Home is the first thing that comes to mind. The fan support for me has always been amazing at Mid-Ohio.
It's an incredible track with a very fast pace, very physical too, and a track that's constantly changing.
Every lap you're going, it's getting faster, and I'm serious. It's going faster and faster to a point that sometimes you can't turn the steering wheel.
Great flow through the back section of the track, sort of the jump corner, turn 9. One of my favorite corners in the entire schedule.
Mid-Ohio is grueling. Mid-Ohio can be hot. It's very tricky, high-speed corners and low-speed, trying to find the balance on the race car and then managing the race. You don't want to get caught out by a yellow at Mid-Ohio.
There's the high overhead view of the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course in Central Ohio, and you can see the fans that have assembled here, and that's the keyhole, turn 2, and no matter how early you come into the facility already, they've got the lawn chairs lined up, 7 a.m., 8 a.m. That is a fantastic vantage point to see the race, and so is the 4, 5, 6 section. Remember, this race starts on the backstretch around the kink. Turn 4 is the first passing zone, and they are ready to go for great racing. And just about every corner of this facility has seen its share of memorable moments, and there certainly are legendary winners. The first IndyCar race here, won by Lone Star JR in 1980. That was his only road course win. Jim Truman saved the track in 81. Bobby Rahal's team owner for his 500 win. Mario won here. Bobby Rahal won here at home. Both of their sons have won here, including Michael Andretti in back-to-back years. Emerson Fittipaldi delivered the first of 8 wins for Roger Penske. That was his second of 3. Alex Zanardi gave the first win to Chip Ganassi at Mid-Ohio. Helio Castroneves won 2 times early in his career, his first 2 seasons with Team Penske. And our man, the legend, Paul Tracy, also a winner here. And in recent years, it has been Scott Dixon. Graham Rahal 2 years ago. He's one of the stories today. And it's always fun on the grid run, Robin, but we've got some serious things we want to start off with today.
We're going to start with silly season, Kevin. And here's our first man. Sorry, I know you're talking business. All right, we're doing our silly season report.
Yep.
Are we going to see you in this series next year?
I sure hope so. That's the plan.
And sponsorship is okay?
Yeah, we're working on that. The opportunities look great, and honestly, I'm just focused on the next 90 laps, Robin. I'm not thinking about next year.
Well, we'd miss you because you're a good interview, too. All right, Marco Andretti, we know he's going to be here. Now we can now see if we can find Spencer Piggott, because he'd be my choice if I owned a car and was looking for a young guy. I really got some good footwork. Spencer! Come here, buddy. Live television, you can't cuss. How you feeling after your crash this morning?
All good, man.
All right.
Ready to go.
If you have a good result, what about next year? Where are we going to see you?
I don't know. Hopefully in IndyCar racing.
All right, we want to see you in IndyCar.
Me too.
See, that wasn't a phenomenal. Where's Tony Kanaan? Tony Kanaan. Tony Kanaan. There's his wife. There. Where would your husband be, young lady?
Sorry,
I wasn't in charge of him today.
Will he be driving in the series next year?
Of course, Robin.
Of course.
Yeah.
Are you going to get into the family 401k?
What?
No, I'm just kidding.
No,
We got plenty of sponsorship
absolutely
money.
not.
Good. All right. Thanks, Lauren. All right. Now, where's my boy Max? Where'd my prop go? Where's my prop man? Where'd that guy go? Oh, right here, right here, right here, right here. All right, Max. Well, this is your wedding deal here. Now listen. A lot of people think racing's dangerous. I happen to think marriage is dangerous. You're getting married in 2 weeks. First thing you need, when you and Miss Chloe start having kids, you need the Joseph Newgarden coloring book for your kids. Cooking basics for dummies. I'm sure you can't even boil water, I'm sure. Chloe, Miss Chloe, your wife
Where's
to
the
be.
chocolates? I need chocolate and beer. That's
Your
what I need.
wife to be wants a dog, and you
Yeah,
won't
she
let her
does.
have a dog. There's a dog. All right. This is a personal present. You, being the smart guy you are, get her a Victoria's Secret angel card.
I can promise you she has plenty of that.
She has plenty of that?
Yeah.
But don't you think that's a good idea?
It's a great idea.
Last but not least.
You can never have enough.
Last but not least, August 12th. That will be the one date that you can never forget. You can forget her name. You can forget her birthday. You can forget her mother's name. If you forget if you forget your wedding day.
Such a pro at this. Why aren't you married?
Too smart. So, you're getting married in 2 weeks. I'd like to come sing for you. Remember this. Get this tattooed somewhere on your body. I can speak for all the married guys in the booth. This will be a good thing to remember.
Thank you very much. There we go. Robin Miller's marriage counseling / advice.
/ advice. Okay. We got time for one more. This is good. This is some time. We got some time. Let's go down here and see who we got. Oh, there's Kanan. Hey! Come here. Hey. Are we seeing you in this series next year? Are you going to be a driver? You're not a sports car guy, are you?
I am a driver, and I'll be here. Either people like it or not.
Are you going to tell us the truth where you're going to be yet?
No.
Lie to us. Tell us.
You just asked me if I'm going to be
lie
here.
to
I
us.
said yes.
Give me some options.
I'm going to be in IndyCar.
Chip Ganassi, Michael Andretti, Roger Penske.
All options are open right now, so we'll see.
All options are open right now.
You're the guy that knows it all, so.
I make it up if I don't know it. All right, Kevin, back to you guys.
Silly season is going to be interesting. We counted yesterday. There are really only 8 drivers that we think we know are going to be back in their same situations. You're watching IndyCar Live, brought to you by Verizon. Go inside IndyCar all season. Download IndyCar Mobile from Verizon. Paul Tracy and Townsend Bell are standing by. We'll get their thoughts on today's event coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. We are getting very close. In fact, about 10 minutes away before we get going for the Honda Indy 200 at Mid-Ohio. And we're down to 5 to go in the season. The title is still very much up for grabs. Still 4 teams legitimately alive, but a Ganassi or Penske car has won the championship the last 4 years with an even split of 2 each. And they hold the top 5 spots in points right now. So what are the chances we see more physical altercations on track between the 2 IndyCar giants?
Dario and Will Power, the points leaders running 1-2, make contact.
These 2 guys at Toronto, they're like oil and water.
Really disappointed in Dario. I always race him clean, and he always races me dirty.
Here come the guys who are running in the top 2, Dixon Power.
Whoa! Dixon will hit the race, and he hits a guy from Will Power's crew here on pit road.
This could be the defining moment in Scott Dixon's 2013 championship.
You know, I had a straight line out of the pit, and then he just walked into us. So if that's the way they want to try and win, then, you know, that's pretty bad.
We're packing up for a restart. Let's see if we can keep it clean this time. Dixon on the inside.
Oh, wow.
Will Power chops across in front of Scott Dixon. Well, if tensions weren't high enough last weekend, they've just been elevated to a whole new level.
I don't know what he was thinking. You know, it's clearly alongside, and then he just turned straight into me. I'll talk to Will afterwards. I don't want to say something that I'm going to regret later.
It's the Honda Indy Toronto.
Oh! Will Power into the wall. Breaks
then
his wing. Dixon has a flat left rear.
Got much damage? Steering's broken. Car's finished. Dixon, man, what a...
And will we see more fireworks today? It's very likely. All the championship contenders are starting together. Thanks for joining us today for IndyCar from Mid-Ohio. And look at the great vantage point that we have right to the entrance to the front stretch, right around turn number 13. Paul Tracy is here. He's won this race in IndyCar and finished second 4 times. Townsend Bell has won here in Indy Lights a couple of times. I'm Kevin Lee. I've not won here, but I've been here for each of Scott Dixon's 5 wins. You know he's a factor. Let's talk about somebody else, though, Paul, the hometown hero. Graham Rahal won 2 years ago. What kind of chance does he have today?
Young Jeezy's got a great chance this weekend. This guy has been fastest 2 sessions in qualifying, fastest lap of the weekend, fastest in warm-up, a double winner at Detroit. This guy's on the move right now. We keep talking about Penske Ganassi, but this Rahal team with these 2 wins at Detroit, they are on the move. They've scored more points than anybody since Indianapolis. Watch for him today. He's on fire this weekend.
This weekend has been really interesting, Townsend. As you watch the practice times, everybody has been up at the front at some point. So many contenders, but who are you watching the most?
No, Kevin, I've got my eye today on Simon Pagenaud, and the reason for that is that last year, right here at Mid-Ohio, this was the place where he reestablished himself in the championship lead with moves like this, battling his teammate Will Power in the final corner, elbows out, side by side. He raised his fist and said, I'm the guy for this team to make the run to the championship. And I think today, with a strong car on race pace setup, Simon Pagenaud is going to be a force to be reckoned with, and I think that could carry all the way through to Sonoma.
I think this has the opportunity to be really good. The top 7 in the championship are the top 7 on the grid. Do you gamble and try to stay out and avoid what happened in Toronto with the caution coming at the wrong time? We will soon find out in just a few minutes. Thanks for watching IndyCar Live on CNBC, presented by Verizon. Fans have been lined up and gathering all day. They're ready to go. The drivers are too, and we'll get it going coming up next. Races to go in the 2017 IndyCar season. Mid-Ohio hosts the next title fight. This historic track has seen its share of close racing, but what is closer is the battle for the championship. Following a win 2 weeks ago in Toronto, American Joseph Newgarden sits 4th in point, chasing his Penske teammate Simon Pagenaud and Helio Castroneves. But at the top sits Ganassi driver Scott Dixon, who is unafraid to take the fight to Team Penske. With time running out, the race to become the next IndyCar champion is about to get closer. Oh, it's a beautiful day for a motor race, and they are assembled in Central Ohio between Columbus and Cleveland, one of the historic tracks in the country. It's the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course and the Honda Indy 200. Great vantage points to see all of the action, and we have seen action here. Last year, strategy, drama, side-by-side racing, and we look for more of the same and many championship implications coming up in this one today. Now, the month began with Team Penske dominating. In fact, they've won both races this month. It was Helio Castroneves snapping a 3-year-plus drought at Iowa on the oval and put himself very much in the championship mix, the only thing he's not done in his career. So he's been with Team Penske 20 years. Joseph Newgarden, in his first season, he's won 2 races in his debut season with Team Penske, including at Toronto a couple of weeks ago. Here this weekend, Penske strong again, including Will Power winning his 49th career pole, tying the legendary Bobby Unser for 4th on the all-time list. But last year's winner here, Simon Pagenaud, did not make it into the Firestone Fast 6. Still a decent starting position. He will start in the 7th position here today, and the top 7 in the championship are the top 7 on the grid, so they will all be mixing it up here together. And this is where the championship stands with 5 to go.
Castroneves right there on the heels of Scott Dixon, but Newgarden and Pagenaud have really tightened things up the last couple of races, and Graham Rahal is just right at the heels of a top 5.
Sato and Rossi both had good events last weekend. Rossi looking to move forward. Rossi was on the podium last week, but look at Aloshin right here. He was out last weekend, back this week, but not been a good weekend.
Yeah, he's already had another off incident in the practice over the weekend, and that's one of the reasons that he received the respite. And Sebastian Saavedra was in the car a couple of weeks ago at Toronto. Take a look at this for Mikhail Aloshin in practice. Not significant damage, but when you have crashed a few more times than the car owner would like, it's something that takes notice. Now, earlier today also, Spencer Pigot with pretty heavy damage, but happy to report he's okay. They had to go to a backup car, and Ed Carpenter Racing is ready for Spencer Pigot to compete in this one, and he will keep his original starting position. Well, the top four are separated by 23 points in the championship. Much on the line today. Perfect weather conditions. Looking forward to a fantastic event. Let's go trackside to really get things started.
Mid-Ohio race fans, are you ready? It's time for those most famous words in all of sports. Please welcome today's Grand Marshal, two-time Heisman Trophy winner and Ohio native, Archie Griffin, to give the command.
Drivers, start your engines!
Archie Griffin is royalty around here. Still the only college football player to win the Heisman Trophy 2 times. Now, back to racing and so many storylines as we get you set for this one. We go to pit lane and we start with Jan Vikas.
And what a great championship setup, Kevin. Of course, Scott Dixon leads, and second in the championship, Castro Neves, starting on the same row. Of course, in this case, it's Penske versus Ganassi. It is Chevy versus Honda, and these two have history. Last year in turn number 2 in the keyhole, their side-to-side contact, that knocked Scott Dixon out of the race and Castro Neves back to 15th, Katie.
Alexander Rossi feels like he's been close to a breakthrough win all season, and his second place in the last race in Toronto was just the tip of the iceberg. But because of that, he says the 98 team has turned a corner. The crew guys are feeling more confident, and he's making less mistakes. Because of that, he thinks he can capture the top step at the podium today. Anders?
And it's been such a disappointing year for Ryan on the race so far. Can you believe it? He's led 56 laps at Long Beach and Indianapolis 500, and yet somehow only has 2 podiums so far this year. He's going to want to change that, but he's only qualified 10th, and he's never won here before. Robin?
Well, 4 or 5 years ago, Graham Rahal was part of the scenery. He wasn't winning races, he wasn't leading races, he wasn't qualifying well. Guess what? Bob Rahal got off the stand, put team in charge of Ricardo Nault. They changed the engineering staff. And right now, Graham Rahal is not only one of the best qualifiers in this field, he's also one of the best racers. That's why he's tied for 5th in the points. He's only 49 points out of the lead. 50, and the most important thing about Graham Rahal is he's won this race before. David Letterman just shoved me. That's very nice. Okay, Graham Rahal, keep your eye on him.
All right, thank you, Robin. And let's take a look at this really interesting, technical, and challenging course in the middle of Ohio, Townsend.
Kevin, the racetrack is awesome here at Mid-Ohio, a favorite for every driver. Down at turn 1, big minimum speed. You have to be so careful of that apex curve. You can't even touch it, but you can use all of the exit as Castro Neves does there. You go down into the keyhole, a little bit of a passing opportunity there in turn 2. But then down in turn 4, it's heavy braking, downhill. You can run side by side here. And remember, this is effectively turn 1 for the start of the race. Here we see Sebastian Bourdais making a move on Kanaan. And the nice thing is, if you can stay side by side, Kanaan would have had the advantage at the next corner as he goes head-to-head with a KV racing car. Then they go through Thunder Valley, probably the trickiest corner on this racetrack. On board with Scott Dixon, you come up and over a blind rise. There's a big step off, almost a jump as you exit turn 9. And then you come through a very fast turn 11 to the final corner here. And this was Power and Pagenaud. Great stuff. Teammates going at it. Championship on the line. And we could see something very similar here at Mid-Ohio, where the pace is flow and go. That's the tempo.
And the urgency is ramping up, not only for the championship, but silly season jobs on the line. This is how they will start today, Paul.
Will Power laid it down in qualifying, surprised everybody, but his teammate Newgarden is right there.
Just behind them in row 2, you've got Sato, who really was the surprise, the strongest of the 4 Andretti drivers. He'll go off 3rd. Graham Rahal in a great spot, starting 4th.
This is the danger zone right here. I have a feeling these two, with how aggressive Castro Neves was in Toronto on the start, these two might get into it.
Looking back at row 4, Pagano starts next to James Hinchcliffe. Pagano's got a great race setup, just missed the Firestone Fast 6, but he'll be fast today.
Rossi, strong qualifying with his teammate Hunter Ray. These guys will play ball with each other and get through the first corner and get their race underway.
Inside the top 10 almost was Connor Daly. He'll start 11th inside row 6. And Esteban Gutierrez, a great job to make the Fast 12 in qualifying for that rookie.
Kimball and Marco's not happy. His teammates were up further, but he looks like he had a good car in warm-up. So all the Andretti cars had a nice warm-up session this morning.
And going all the way back to row 8, Ed Jones, solid, not spectacular run. Spencer Piggott qualified all right, but had to go to the backup car after a massive accident in warm-up this morning.
Tony Kanaan had a spin in qualifying, knocked him out of the Fast 12. He was bummed alongside Chilton.
Jerry Hildebrand and Carlos Munoz both disappointed to start that far back. And then Mikhail Aloshin, the young, aggressive Russian, he'll be trying to make magic happen.
We have several good looks where you can ride along with our onboards, and we start with the Aero on board for Mikhail Aloshin. He is going to start last, but remember, he led 33 laps here last year. Tony Kanaan in the NTT Data on board will start 17th. James Hinchcliffe will start in the 8th position. He'll have the Lucas Oil on board. Simon Pagano, last year's winner, you can ride along with him thanks to Verizon, starting from the 7th position. Graham Rahal has the Steak and Shake on board and also the helmet cam. He starts on the 2nd row. And the points leader, 5-time winner here, Scott Dixon, starts 6th. He has our Verizon streaming on board. Go inside IndyCar all season. Download IndyCar mobile from Verizon. So remember, they start here on the backstretch. They have already passed turn number 1. They're going into the keyhole, but already lined up very nicely. Now Power squirts ahead. Very difficult to stay side by side through there. Ready to go, round 13, just 5 to go in the championship, and it's green from Mid-Ohio. The silver car of Power gets the early jump. Newgarden looking to the outside. He may challenge him going into turn number 4. Newgarden in the blue car. Look at Sato in the other blue car, trying to challenge for 3rd, and they will stay the same way they started, 1, 2, 3.
Simon Pagano, big start. He got around both Dixon and Castro Neves, so he's on the move.
Will Power did a great job to break up the middle for the first corner and keep Newgarden guessing. Newgarden tucks in, and it's all clean further back.
It was a pretty quick start. They took off a little bit early, and I think Castro Neves knew when those guys were going to go, and he got a jump, but he went through the grass on the back straightaway and lost his drive, and that allowed Pagano to get alongside of him. But a nice clean start as we see Andretti. Look at him on the move. He's already up to the back of his teammates already.
Charlie Kimball was all out of shape coming through turn 10, just hung on to the back of that car. Little surprised we don't see some more aggressive lunges here, Paul, as difficult as it's going to be to pass once you slot into race pace. Push to pass is not eligible on that first lap. We'll see when people start to use the overtake.
The biggest dive that I saw of anybody was Pagano. Made a big lunge down the inside of Castro Neves and Dixon at the end of the straightaway. As we see some guys here, look at this, a run. You can go 2 abreast through here if he wants to stay there, but he backs out, plays fair, but you can do that 2 abreast.
Newgarden jumped on the push to pass button, and then Will Power responded with overtake and really is doing a great job out braking his teammate down there in turn 4.
Sato slid into 3rd place. A great qualifying effort for him and the Andretti team. So he's slotted in, and Rahal in 4th right now.
Newgarden has done a great job of staying with Will Power. He is still going to be in position to pounce if Power makes any kind of mistake. Riding along now with James Hinchcliffe. He is in 11th.
He's right on the back of Andretti, but look at Andretti. He's all over the back of his teammate Rossi, so he's probably our biggest mover here in the first couple laps, having a good run.
That's the run into turn 1. Remember, we started around the kink going towards turn 4.
Map 3, next car back, Connor Daly.
Now watch as we see these cars go through, in particular James Hinchcliffe. He says here, the keyhole, turn number 2, not my best corner. That time, actually pretty good. He said, I was losing 0.2 of a second. If I can fix that corner, I'll be going for it. And here comes Rahal.
Sato's going to try to stay there. Rahal hits the apex, gets into Takuma Sato. Sato squeezed him down low. Rahal tried to avoid the contact by hitting the curb and then launched the car and just got into Sato. That was close. Hopefully not a cut tire for either driver.
I think Graham played it too nice. He had the line. He could have outbraked him, shoved him wide, but I think he just backed off and gave him a little bit of room. Sato closed the door on him, and these two guys made contact. You could rip your front wing off and really cause yourself a problem. As we see here,
if anything comes off.
Yeah, Sato's turning in. They're going side by side, and I think Graham just wanted to back out of it. He's on the curb, and right there, they touch his front wing. That could have been disastrous for Graham.
Or for Sato with a cut right rear tire. I think Sato just squeezed Graham too tight to the apex and forced him to run the curb to avoid the initial contact.
Well, he's going to try to make another run right here. Let's see if he uses a push to pass. He's got a clean line. He's going to come off, push to pass. He just hit it. So I think he got a bad drive right there. But look at Andretti around the outside, push to pass, both of these guys.
And Marco has already picked up 4 spots. He's ahead, looking on board with James Hinchcliffe. Marco has moved from 14th to 10th, but Hinchcliffe wants that position.
And this really helps out Alexander Rossi, who's just in front of Marco Andretti, because Rossi, the only driver in the top 12 to start on the harder Firestone Black compound, and it takes a couple of laps for the temperature to come in, but now Rossi's tires are in, and he has some breathing room with Andretti and Hinch going at it.
He's losing contact to Hunter Ray, so those blacks, like we said, they will take 2 or 3 laps to come in. We do not know what is going to be the better tire over the course of the whole run. Some say it's black, some say it's red, and we're going to find out here in about 20 laps what works.
114-degree track temperature, that's higher than we've seen it all weekend, so that could be a pretty important factor in the tire wear as we get into the later part of the stint.
Graham Rahal looking again, hunting here. As we see a better line for Sato. Will he go for the push to pass? No, he doesn't use it this time. Got to be a little bit closer than that before you decide, Townsend, to hit that push to pass button.
Simon Pagenaud, you saw him back there in the yellow car. He picked up 1 position to go from 7th to 6th. Right in front of him is Helio Castroneves.
And most importantly for Pagenaud, he picked up that 1 position on Scott Dixon. So right now, Scott Dixon sits alone, meaning he's got all 4 Penske's in front of him, all 4 of the drivers that he's battling for the championship as we ride on board with Dixon, looking back out at Ryan Hunter-Reay trying to challenge. So a lot of work for Scott Dixon to make his way up. He's 5 seconds back.
And when you walk off the back of the car, look over the back wing there, and as he turns into the corners, it's right here at corner entry that he's been struggling all weekend with the back of the car stepping out. He says we just haven't been able to cure that mechanically. It does seem as though some of the other Honda teams have had a similar issue. So Scott Dixon normally has the kind of setup here where the car is rock solid. He is going to have to really be working his driving skill to keep this thing underneath him.
And I would think that Dixon might consider coming in early like Carlos Munoz on your left side of the screen. The pit stop window is just opening up, but if Dixon pits now, he would come back out in clean air with nobody in front of him and try to make lap time. That could be an option that they look at here.
Well, that's the option that he took a couple years ago. He started dead last in this field, took that option, was able to move through the field with a timely caution and win the race. But that's a tough call to make when you're up inside the top 10 and you're running well. That do you peel off and take that risk?
Well, I think his team will be watching the gap to the leader right now at 5.5 seconds. So Will Power putting about 0.3 to half a second on Dixon every lap.
Among the others that have moved in the early going, Ryan Hunter-Reay started 10th. He's up to 8th. That's Joseph Newgarden, who has been chasing his teammate Will Power from the beginning. Then a little gap back to 3rd with Indianapolis 500 winner Takuma Sato. You see him back there with the same livery that he had for the Indianapolis 500. Ruoff Home Mortgage is on the car this weekend.
And I think Takuma Sato's struggling a bit here. When we were on the onboard with Graham Rahal through the keyhole, it really looked like Sato was struggling.
Graham's got a run on him. He's on the push to pass, but a little bit too far away. I noticed just behind Castroneves has gotten back around Simon Pagenaud, so he's not willing to just sit and wait. He has moved around his teammate after that first lap when Pagenaud got by.
I'd guess Graham Rahal has more laps around Mid-Ohio than anybody else in this field. Grew up at this racetrack, watched his father race here for so many years. You just watch his hands. There's so much confidence in anticipating each corner. He knows this place literally like the back of his hand.
And I think he certainly has seen more laps here than anyone else. And he has been good here. He said that win 2 years ago was the biggest of his career, and a win today would match that as well. But he's got to chase down Will Power. The pole sitter has the early jump for IndyCar in Mid-Ohio. You're watching the Verizon IndyCar Series, brought to you by Steak and Shake, home of the original steak burger, proud sponsor of the number 15, and Graham Rahal. Well, you couldn't ask for a better weather weekend. 80 degrees in late July in the Midwest in the summertime. We had good crowds throughout the weekend, but I'm hearing it's a really good walk-up today. Good crowds. It's been building each of the last several years, and so far they've seen Will Power control this race, but Joseph Newgarden is not too far behind. Meanwhile, you saw it on nonstop. Right before we went away, we saw the 14 come in and pit with Carlos Munoz, and then Max Chilton, and then both Dale Coyne cars. Esteban Gutierrez was actually in there for 37 seconds, and then we saw Ed Jones pit as well, and there's Gutierrez dealing with traffic.
Well, he's right here in the middle of all the championship leaders, so the smart thing for him to do, Townsend, is just kind of get out of the way. He's already a lap down. So we see Dixon trying to get a little run here on Pagenaud, and he might have one here. He's got double draft here.
It's going to take a bold move, but you can hear him breathe out of it. He didn't see it on there. Wisely backs off for the brake zone. See if he can just trail around with Pagenaud. Ryan Hunter-Reay sneaks past Gutierrez. Now Gutierrez went out on reds on our data, but it looks like he's on blacks there.
He had a long stop. I saw while we were at break 37 seconds, so he must have had a problem with the car, a broken wing or something, because he came out a lap down.
That's actually Ed Jones. Sorry, Gutierrez is on blacks. Ed Jones went out on reds. So we'll watch for the leaders, which tires they take for the remainder of the race. They have to take blacks because they started on reds, but the question is, will they stay on blacks?
James Hinchcliffe has lost 3 spots from his 8th place starting position. He's running in 11th right now. Has been battling Marco Andretti. But let's go back to the beginning again. On board from the helmet cam of Graham Rahal.
See Dixon here. Look at these two guys. They made some contact, Townsend. They look at this dive down the inside, and these guys touched, I think, right here. Look.
You really get the sense all of these front runners are driving like championship contenders. They don't want to damage their wing. Look at Rossi. He's forcing his way through Dixon. And there's Ryan Hunter-Reay also with the position following his teammate.
Kanon's always good at the beginning, and there we saw what happened. No, that's Ed Jones, actually. That's not Gutierrez. Contact with Spencer Pigot. We saw some shrapnel flying out of that. I want to go back to Pagenaud and Castroneves. Second week in a row, the opening lap, racing in really close quarters. We love that with Team Penske. They go after it.
They really do, and you know, with the championship up for grabs, all 4 Penske drivers have a legitimate chance.
I just saw in the background Andretti has gotten by his teammate Rossi, but look at this guy, Rahal. He's really trying hard. He's back on the button. Looked like he might have turned it off. Rossi is peeled off, so.
Oh, Newgarden. A battle for the lead. Joseph Newgarden is going to get around his teammate. Newgarden gets by Will Power to take the lead in Mid-Ohio.
Wheel 3 there, not wheel 1, wheel 3.
These guys have really streaked away from the rest of the field. They got a pretty big gap back to Sato, and I really didn't think, Townsend, that he was going to make a move on him, but he got a nice run here, and he just goes over under. That's a slick move right there.
That was nice.
Wow. Joey Newjive just put it on him.
Well, he faked it high, showed high. Power was just into the brake zone and thought Newgarden would stay there at the last second. He absolutely snaked him up the inside, and now he's gone.
He's taken off. He just totally shake and baked him.
He really did.
Ryan Hunter-Reay just needs to get off sequence. Was caught up in a bunch of traffic there. He's going to put on scuffed blacks and be on his way. Jan?
James Hinchcliffe also taking this opportunity a little bit early in the pit window to try to make some changes. He's not been happy with the car. He's going with new reds. Katie?
Marco Andretti is the biggest mover of the race. race so far as you see James Hinchcliffe pull off of pit lane. Marco Andretti coming down to his pit box. He is extremely happy with his car today, which is quite a change of what we've seen recently. He's going to go for the blacks when he finally does make it to pit lane, guys.
He's gone. Look at that. In a half a lap, he is just taken off from Power. Look at that gap. That's like a 3-second gap already, Towns.
Well, we'll have to see what kind of lap time he does, but we've seen Will Power struggle a bit this weekend in practice on older tires, and perhaps Newgarden's just been quietly waiting for the moment, and he had it there and pounced on the opportunity.
Power's falling back to Sato and Rahal now, so Rahal really needs to find a way by Sato, and he might have a shot at second in this race, but I think, nice run right here, nice run.
He's got him. Graham Rahal into third.
Don't leave that door open because they'll be back on push to pass, but he's got to go right now, go like crazy and get Power before the pit stops.
There's Marco Andretti into pit. He had been making nice movement up through the pack in this race.
Marco's going to come out right with his teammates here. Might be battling Hinchcliffe up at the keyhole here. So Marco Andretti on cold tires. Here comes Hinch.
Slotted back into basically exactly where he was. So going a lap further than those guys really didn't help him leapfrog those guys. But he's got to hang on here. Hinchcliffe's got to run. They're both on push to pass.
Marco's doing the fade.
Hinch is not quite close
Oh, he
enough.
opens the door for him, though. Let's see what happens here in the brake zone. Hinchcliffe should go for it and dive in.
That's big braking on cold tires for Andretti. Nice job holding off a guy on hot tires.
That's for 13th, but not everyone is pitted up front.
That shows you the difference between the blacks and the reds, because those things came in 3 corners, Towns, and he braked as late or later than a guy on hot tires right out of the pits.
Yep.
Top 10 have not taken their first stop yet. And the leader is now Joseph Newgarden. And what an impressive run. We think of Will Power as the Mastar. There's been a bit of a Star Wars theme here this weekend. Yeah, he's the Jedi, but the Padawan learner
he's pulled out
has been the one that's showing
4 seconds in 3 laps. Spencer in here, little wing change. Not a lot of urgency there, so.
I'm watching the gap between Joseph Newgarden and Ryan Hunter-Reay. Hunter-Reay did his pit stop already. It's about 26 seconds, so that's a pretty good in and out lap for Hunter-Reay. He could jump up into the top 5 here after the pit stop cycle. We're back on board with Hinchcliffe.
Now you've seen many of the runners, and Kevin, you just mentioned it, not everyone has pitted yet. If you look at the pit window strategy here, they've all fit between that window number 1. Anyone who is not pitted is running in what we call the danger zone right now. Look for the leaders, and here they come on pit road.
Sato, Castroneves, Pagano.
Watching both the Penskes at pit out, this is going to be a battle amongst teammates. We see Simon Pagano from overhead, and Castroneves leads first, but it looks like Pagano will retain that position at the blend line. That was close.
And here comes Ryan Hunter-Reay. Watch this action up in the keyhole. It's going to get crazy here, guys.
He's on hot tires. He's going to get both of these guys right here. He might have a shot at Pagano into turn 3 if he gets a good exit, but that's a slick move by Hunter-Reay right there. And look at Rossi. He'll get a run right here around his teammate, and he's going to get Castroneves as well.
So advantage Ryan Hunter-Reay. He jumps 2 through the pit sequence, and this might get dicey going in to turn number 4. Sato back right behind Castroneves. Will he make the dive? No.
Castroneves has to be careful. He's got to protect his car in these next few corners and make sure that he still stays in contention.
And the leader, Joseph Newgarden, pulling into pit lane. He's taking the fight to his more experienced teammates right now, and they're going to go to the Firestone Blacks for this second stint. Kevin?
And of course, he's racing Will Power. They both went one more lap than their team. But look at that angle. Will Power's angle is not good. And behind him is Scott Dixon, but he swings it out. Thankfully, no cars ahead. And Dixon, that seems like a delay. Scott Dixon not as fast of a stop as you would expect for the Ganassi team.
Rahal stayed on track. He's gone longer than everybody in the field. So Simon goes by. Hunter-Reay goes by. Rossi goes by. So he's clear now. But Rahal right now is the leader, and he has not yet pitted.
But Dixon did get by Castroneves. And there's Sato back there. And then Hinchcliffe working on Marco Andretti, getting a little loose coming out of the keyhole.
Look at Marco.
To see Rahal pit next time.
Marco making a move here on his teammate coming down the back straightaway. These two are side by side. Teammates. They touch.
Hunter Ray around, contact with Rossi.
I thought you couldn't pass here. I thought you couldn't pass. Look who came in the pits.
Almost disaster. We didn't go yellow, but Rahal was coming down the pit road, so we would have been safe, Jan.
And man, that would have been a close one. Graham Rahal, the team wondered if there would be caution. He is going with sticker black Firestones, of course. They'll be filling up with Sunoco. And at the moment, when you go farther, this may help you later in the race. Let's watch to see how he blends out. That was a quick stop.
He's going to come out in second. It's going to be really tight here. Power's going to go by on the exit maybe here.
I don't know. He's going to block up the inside, Paul. Graham Rahal's going to stick hard right here and force.
Whoa!
Force Willpower around the outside. Really hard here on the cold black tires to find the grip on the outlap.
Checked him up on the braking zone. I think Willpower wanted to go around the outside. He's on push to pass, so he's going to protect the inside and make him go the long way. This is going to get dicey.
Power trying to go around the outside and outbrake him into turn number 4, and job done for Willpower.
Great driving, great racing, nice and clean. That's how you do it, boys.
We're told the contact between the teammates, Rossi and Hunter Ray, is under review.
Yeah, I'm not sure they're going to find much other than two guys going for a tight piece of racetrack, but let's look at it again. This is a lot like Rahal and Sato earlier. Rossi has the nose up there, but squeezes Hunter Ray a little tight. Hunter Ray hits the apex curb just like Rahal did earlier. They touch, and unfortunately for RHR, he gets turned around.
And Ryan Hunter-Ray came screaming over the radio and said he just turned right across my front nose. Not a happy Ryan Hunter-Ray whatsoever. He's not going to be happy with that decision from the race stewards.
And no action has been taken, so it is a racing incident or difficult to determine who would be at fault. Well, we've got plenty of action here in the early going. After the first round of pit stops, it's still Joseph Newgarden in charge. Joining us today from the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course for IndyCar racing. Fans have been entertained so far. Willpower controlled the early stage of the race, but Joseph Newgarden made a masterful pass of him on lap number 13 to get to the front. We've gone through a round of pit stops, and Newgarden leads by 4.5 seconds on Willpower. Then it's Rahal, Pagenaud, and Alexander Rossi has moved up a little bit into the 5th position after starting 9th.
Tell you what, Townsend, Joseph Newgarden since Toronto, man, this guy has really come into his own. He is just driving flawlessly. He's driving calm. He had a couple big crashes earlier in the year. Iowa particularly running good and crashed hard. But man, he's flying today.
And I'm just so impressed by the move that Newgarden put on his teammate Power there down in turn 4. That was legendary as Castroneves closes up a little bit onto the back of Scott Dixon now. Now this is what happened to Castroneves. He lost a little bit on this cycle of pit stops, and he just got jammed up here leaving pit lane with Sato there, Pagenaud running up the inside, and that just really cost him on a green flag stop. He fell behind Scott Dixon, but now he's closing up ever so slightly. And right now, as the points run, Joseph Newgarden is the championship points leader with Dixon second, Castroneves third.
It's time for our Chevrolet driver updates. And Joseph Newgarden, Willpower, 1-2. There's Simon Pagenaud and Elio Castroneves. So 4 of the top 7 for Chevy at the Honda-sponsored events.
And very interesting when we talk about teammates and setups. Elio Castroneves started the weekend, and he liked Simon Pagenaud's setup that he won this race last year. But then as the track rubbered in, he said, you know, I don't like this. So last night, they threw what they call the kitchen sink at it. He went back to a 2015 setup, and this morning in the warm-up, Castroneves said, oh yeah, I like this. And the Penske team giving the drivers what they want so they can continue to fight each other in the championship.
Jan, let's think about that. You got a guy like Castroneves fighting for the championship. As we look at his boss, Roger Penske, he's got 4 guys to work off of and try their setups. Graham Rahal has got nobody but himself to rely on.
You know, we've talked about that over the last couple of years, Paul, but I think Graham really likes it that way. He's got a team completely built around him. He gets exactly what he wants, exactly what he needs, and he delivers based on all of the variables in building a race team specifically designed to make him confident.
Now, I'm not saying you don't want to go to Team Penske, because you clearly do, but both Simon Pagenaud and Joseph Newgarden have talked about the adjustment they need to make. It's not doing it the way you've always done it as far as setting up a car. You will adjust to the Penske way because they know what they're doing, but it is an adjustment.
Well, they've certainly they're running good right now, but at the start of the season, we were all questioning what's going on with Penske. They weren't getting good results. The qualifying speeds weren't there, but since mid-season on, they've really come on strong.
Here's Alexander Rossi running in 5th, a little bit behind Simon Pagenaud, and this was some drama between teammates earlier on. Ryan Hunter-Reay in the yellow DHL car going around, and Hunter-Reay had worked his way up, contending for the top 5.
Hunter-Reay's going to be furious because that early pit stop, what it did was it got Hunter-Reay and Rossi out in clean air. Right now, Hunter-Reay has the fastest lap of the race, Rossi's 5th fastest of the race, and they really made up good ground, and they both would have been in the top 5 without that incident. But right now, Alexander Rossi, the lead Andretti driver in the field, currently sits 5th, had such great momentum coming off a podium at Toronto, and he's really turning it up the second half of this season.
He's been quick all year, just hadn't really had the results. I talked to him on Friday. He said, we knew we were fast, but still getting a result really just kind of buoyed everyone's spirits.
As we look at Pagenaud, the Andretti team had a lot of problems early in the year. They had a lot of mechanical failures, electrical gremlins, falling out of races, so they were kind of victim to that. But we haven't really seen any Honda blow-ups since Indianapolis. They've kind of cured all of that. So,
and they said they figured out what the part was that was faulty, and now we're into the next generation of engines, so all of that should have been addressed. Well, Joseph Newgarden right now is delivering a beatdown by over 4 seconds on his teammate Will Power. Then it's Graham Rahal, the hometown hero, in 3rd, but Newgarden the man right now. Last Tuesday at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, we got a glimpse at the IndyCar future. Common body kits for Chevy and Honda next season, and they debuted, in all reports, there were no problems. It was originally planned to be a 2-day test, but they got everything done with Oriol Servia in the Honda, Juan Pablo Montoya in the Chevy, all done on Tuesday. And here the road course configuration in Mid-Ohio is set up on display, and they'll test on Tuesday, and that's also open to the public.
Man, I love it. I love the look of the new car. They said the body kits, Townsend, fit flawlessly. It's about a 15 to 20 hour job to switch everything over from this current spec car, but 20 pounds less in bodywork and parts and hardware.
We get another 200 horsepower, we'll be right there. I want to see these things light them up in 3rd and 4th gear like they used to, but I agree, a nice look, getting rid of the big rear bumper on there. The Kardashians are going away.
And they've also taken some of the downforce from the top side of the car to the bottom side. They think they'll race even better on road courses. All right, we're on board with Scott Dixon now. Listen to this from just a little while ago from Dixon's radio.
I think something's broken. Yeah, we'll get some wing out of it next time, Scott.
I'm not sure they're communicating on the same level. The driver's saying, sounds like something broken. We're going to take some wing out of it on the next stop.
I'll tell you what, he's under a lot of pressure here. He's holding up a train of guys. Andretti now just got passed by Hinchcliffe, so they've been fighting since the green flag, but he's holding up this whole train. There's nobody in front of Scott Dixon. Usually Scott Dixon's the guy putting the pressure on. Right now, he's holding up this whole train of drivers.
That was for 9th. Hinchcliffe around Andretti for 9th. Sato in front of him, then Castroneves and Dixon, who we heard from in 6th. Let's go back and watch Hinch working on Marco again.
He got him real early. It looks like Marco made a mistake, something coming off the corner, and he had him really early in the straight, and an easy out braking around the outside.
Look at him turn his head to look over and see, uh-oh, this isn't going to work.
Always trips me out the way Marco holds the steering wheel up high there at the corners of the wheel as opposed to 9 and 3 more traditional. Jan?
And you saw and heard, I guess you should say, the radio conversation for Scott Dixon. There's been quite a few more radio transmissions about not only do I think there's something broken on the car, but the car's trying to spin me out, he said to Mike Hull. Mike Hull's response, the pit window opens in 4 laps. We'll take the early part of it. You heard the tail end of that radio conversation. We'll take some front wing out to try and get him back. Right now, he says he's really struggling.
Look at the guy who's just at the tail end of this group again. Hunter-Reay just had a spin 10 laps ago, and he's already caught up to the back of these guys. So that shows you how much slower Scott Dixon is going these guys. He's doing a 108.9. The leader is doing a 107.0.
And keep in mind, the guy right behind him, as we ride on board with Hinchcliffe, is Helio Castroneves. Came into the day 3 points behind Scott Dixon for the championship lead.
Hard to pass here, but it can be done. We've seen loads of passes throughout this whole race. So you just got to time everything. You got to time your pass. You got to time when you get on the push to pass. And we look at Castroneves, he's right up the gearbox now of Dixon. He's right there. If he can get a good drive off the keyhole, he'll have a shot at it at the end of the straight.
And you see points as they run. If it stays this way, it would be a swing. Joseph Newgarden could jump from 4th to 1st. We knew that was possible with just 23 separating. That was Mike Hull talking to Scott Dixon. He's going to pit.
They're going to pit only 32 laps into this race. That would take an awful lot of fuel savings to make it to the end. We know Dixon can do it, but Mike Hull's watching the pace and saying, we've got to fix this car. Hinchcliffe all over the back of Sato.
Sato went so deep on the brakes, he nearly ran into the back of Castroneves. Those guys, it looked like Hinchcliffe was going to go by it. Sato was mega on the brakes.
And that train behind Scott Dixon has allowed the top 5 to check out. Newgarden by nearly 5 seconds, then Rahal behind Power in second, then Rahal in third.
About 24 seconds back to Dixon, so Newgarden could pit and still make it out as Scott Dixon comes to pit lane. Now he went inside that white line, Paul. They talked about that in the driver's meeting.
And of course, we'll watch this stop carefully, and we certainly will expect to see a lot of front wing come out. Of course, when you do that, that will then balance up the car for Scott Dixon. They're going with sticker. Black Firestones, let's see, 1, 2, 2.5. Oh, more turns on the right-hand side. 7.3 seconds for Scott Dixon, but Townsend, like you said, this is a big ask now on fuel to get to the next window.
That is an awful lot of front wing to take out, so Scott Dixon clearly super loose, lots of oversteer. And just to correct myself, it's okay if you straddle that white line coming into pit lane. You just can't go 4 wheels over it. So Scott Dixon's fine there. The battle continues.
Big difference for him between reds and blacks. Or is anybody else going to fall off? Was it a tire problem? Is it a setup problem? Is the car broken? We don't know, but he's the only guy in the field so far that was struggling on reds.
So now Dixon is hoping he gets something like what he got at Toronto. He needs a yellow before everyone else takes pit stop number 2.
Well, it came in Toronto.
He needs a phantom yellow like Toronto, and it came at Toronto via his teammate. Will that happen again?
I don't know if I'll fully go phantom yellow on that, but the coincidence was timely with Tony Kanaan on the outlap.
And we're going to throw on another set of reds here. Very unexpected Ed Jones stop here. Katie.
Max Chilton just made his second stop of the day. They stuck with those sticker reds. He's struggling, though. Can't seem to find grip on this Mid-Ohio track.
So all of those cars have been running back in the order. We haven't seen any of the leaders, other than Scott Dixon, who was running in 6th, make their second stop, but he had to come in early.
Now that Dixon has peeled off, we see now all these cars were stacked on top of each other, Townsend. Now they've all kind of spread out by about 8 or 9 car lengths from each other. They're obviously going faster, and it's pulled the accordion further apart.
Going to be interesting to see what Newgarden and Power and Rahal do on tires. They have the option to run either compound now through the rest of the race. Based on what I'm seeing out of Newgarden's pace, why risk it, right? Because you're going to have to run longer stints to the end. I would guess Newgarden would stay with the harder black compound.
Well, this track rubbers up so heavy here. He's just gone right here, but this track really rubbers and it rubbers and it rubbers, and it gets so physical. I think you might want to go with blacks just from the physicality point of putting on reds.
But as the track rubbers up, it helps the reds to wear longer effectively. It's not as abrasive, the surface. We've seen that on some of the street circuits where once the rubber fills in the grooves, that the red tire will last longer.
And Townsend, you asked me during the break, what do you think on tires? What's going to happen? Well, Graham Rahal just was on the radio and said, you know, guys, I think the reds are better for me, and that's a shock. Because Paul Tracy, you mentioned earlier that Graham Rahal was smoking fast all weekend on the blacks. He now's called in and said, my choice is reds. This will be interesting for the final couple stints.
Track temp now up to 116 degrees, so continues to rise here under the hot Ohio sun.
Ambient's only 81, but the track temp is what really matters in terms of tire wear.
For Graham Rahal, it's only been in recent years that he's been successful in the track that means the most to him, likely outside of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, but this is his home track. He averaged a finish of around 16 his first 6 or 7 visits here, but he's been top 5 the last 3 years, including that win 2 years ago. Right now, Rahal runs in 3rd, but he's got to get on his giddy up to be able to catch the young man from Tennessee, Joseph Newgarden.
The young man from Tennessee almost threw it off into the weeds there, exiting turn 9. It doesn't get any closer than that.
You hang it out on that curb town, you get stuck on the other side of it, and then you go for a ride. Very, very easy to loop it around there.
There's Power running in 2nd. He started on the pole. Newgarden got by him with a clean, very nifty pass on the backstretch on lap 13 and has sailed away since. A little further back to Graham Rahal. But it's Joseph Newgarden in command, but still plenty can happen at Mid-Ohio.
Welcome back to the Verizon IndyCar Series from Mid-Ohio. Alexander Rossi making his stop. They debated on sticker blacks or scuffed reds for this middle stint. Decided on scuffed reds because he thinks the blacks are going to work best for him in the end. Kevin?
Oh, look at Ryan Hunter-Reay coming up there behind. They made contact a little earlier in the race. Hunter-Reay might be too far behind. Anders?
Charlie Kimball now in the pits going on to sticker reds. He thinks that's the best option here. Holding him for a long time there in the pits. He's on his way.
Also during nonstop, you might have seen Tony Kanaan make his pit stop on lap 38. So Rossi pitted from 5th. He was the first of the front runners to make stop number 2, along with Scott Dixon, who had to come in earlier than he wanted because of massive handling problems.
I tell you what, when was the last time you saw Dixon run like this at this track? The guy's been so dominant for so long. As we look at Hunter-Reay, he's trying to chase his teammate down here. Man, Dixon not having a good day, but this guy right here, he might have a little axe to grind if he ever gets to the back of Rossi.
Probably not within team ranks, right? He might not be real happy, but I don't think he's going to act on it.
We'll see. We'll see. Hunter-Reay comes to pit lane. There's your answer. He won't have a chance on this stint.
Hinchcliffe also is in right in front of him. Hinchcliffe was running in the top 10. Anders?
I know Hunter-Reay is coming into the pits here. Going to put on another set of scuffed blacks here as he's on his way. Obviously, not a happy guy here today, Jan.
James Hinchcliffe on a very similar strategy. They're taking the opportunity. That was a quick stop. By the time we saw the 28 leave, we see the 5 shoot onto pit lane. And here's what's important. Does he have clean racetrack? And that was a good call by that team. Now, let's find out what the handling's like for Hinchcliffe, and he can make up some distance with clear air.
And then way behind him, you saw Scott Dixon, and there's the leader, Joseph Newgarden, rolling down pit lane at 50 miles per hour, Katie.
Team president, Team Cindric, just said over the radio that Joseph is extremely happy with the car. They're going to go for sticker reds during this middle stint, and you see the adjustment there, just a little bit of front wing.
Like that call for Joseph Newgarden. That's the insurance policy. Get in early, don't stretch it too long, don't get caught out on a yellow.
So calm, so smooth. Those Penske guys just nail those stops.
And look at this, beautiful piece of clean racetrack as Marco Andretti hits pit lane.
And Marco Andretti has just slowly been working his way up through the field. He's extremely happy with the car. They're just making little adjustments each and every time he comes into the pits, but not this time. Kevin?
Newgarden got out in front of several, as we see Connor Daly making his second stop. Newgarden beat out people like Castroneves and Sato, who are running near the front, who haven't stopped for the second time. That's how well it's going for Joseph Newgarden.
And that's how well timed that pit stop was from Team Penske and Tim Cindric, because Newgarden has just clean air, clean racetrack in front. He can get right back into record pace.
There's Will Power. He was running second and taking over the lead when Newgarden went to the pit lane.
They have been feeding Will Power a fuel number, but we'll see if many. Yes, we can see in the background the other Penske teammates, including Simon Pagenaud, will be taking this opportunity to stop. Only a small adjustment on Power before they send him while we watch to see this relationship on the racetrack. A little bit waiting on fuel. That was 7.5. Wow, that actually is a very good stop for Simon Pagenaud. Let's see where he cycles in. Castroneves again. They're all on the same sequence as far as when they want tires. We're watching to see he's going with sticker Firestone blacks as well as the opportunity to fill up. Oh, I'm sorry, those are reds. Those are sticker reds for, so that's a different strategy than we saw for his teammates.
Jan, the guy who stayed out again to lead another lap, is Ray Hall. Look, you see these two guys, Rossi, he might squeeze down. Oh, big out, breaking him way past him. So the guy we got to watch on the next stop is Ray Hall, who's trying to get by Power, and here he comes, Jan.
So the leader, Graham Rahal, comes in. He is, again, the last to make the stop. Stop number 2 for Graham Rahal.
And anytime you can make it one lap later and there's not a caution, this helps you. He's going with sticker black, so that is very similar to what we saw for Simon Pagenaud. We watched the track to see the relationship. We see we see Joseph Newgarden, who flashed by. Nice stop. We'll have to see how he cycles in with those behind, but Newgarden and Power are long gone.
That did not look like a great stop, and I think he might be under threat from Rossi, who's coming up from behind. Rossi has really been on the move, but that didn't look like a particularly great stop. Like there was an issue on the back tire.
See Graham Rahal fighting to get temperature in the black tires as Takuma Sato hits pit lane, takes sticker reds to come out. He'll be right out near Hinchcliffe here as they come up to the keyhole. Could get a little dicey. That's Castroneves. He should be able to get by, but then Hinchcliffe is coming hard.
Castroneves will have no problem on the warmer Firestones. Hinchcliffe, though, might have a run on him by the time they get down to turn number 4, or even before that, as Sato slides a little bit wide.
I tell you what, Joseph Newgarden with that pit stop exchange. We got a run here. Going to make a move. They're both on push to pass. Hot tires, cold tires, but man, Sato's good on the brakes.
You notice what he did. Takuma Sato drove just enough in the middle of the track to take away the brake zone from Hinchcliffe. That'll front straight Hinchcliffe, but that's a clever move from the veteran Japanese driver.
So all of the leaders have taken their second stop. One more stop to go. It's Newgarden by 6 seconds on Will Power, then Rahal a couple of seconds back. Rossi is 4th, Pagenaud is 5th, then Castroneves, Sato, Hinchcliffe, Dixon, and Marco Andretti. There's Rahal.
Guy who's having a great race so far today is Rossi. He's moved through the field. He started back in like 10th, 11th, and he's really coming forward. So,
and Rahal's on the primaries. So does Rossi have something for him on the softer, quicker red sidewalled Firestones that won't last as long, but this is still fairly early in the stint for both. Spencer Pigot, he had a nasty crash really coming through that section there. He got in a little hole on the curb and came through and hit at the exit straight on with the nose. Out of the car holding his back a little bit, said he's okay, he's fine, but they did have to go to a backup, and like he has the leader right behind him.
Looks like his rear bumper pod is a little bit askew, but Ned Townsend, there's no way that Spencer Pigot's not sore after that accident that happened right in front of our booth this morning. That was a really, really hard hit.
Yeah, it was a massive hit. Newgarden here, 6.6 seconds over Power, so he doesn't have to do anything urgent here. He can take his time and find the moment to make the move on Pigot.
So Joseph Newgarden got it done to grab the lead on the track on lap 13 and has already gone through 2 rounds of pit stops. Good stops by the 2 team for Team Penske, and he remains in front in Mid-Ohio. You're watching the Verizon IndyCar Series, brought to you by Honda, an official vehicle of the Verizon IndyCar Series. And by Fifth Third Bank, proud sponsor of Graham Rahal. This is banking a Fifth Third better. It's Joseph Newgarden in charge here so far today, working on lapping Spencer Pigot fairly soon. Newgarden in the blue and white PPG colors this weekend, one of many blue and white cars. Power, Rahal, Rossi, Pagenaud round out the top 5, and that's on board with James Hinchcliffe, who is running in 8th. We have stayed clean and green so far. There's Graham Rahal running in 3rd. Those are the best battles right now. Rahal right in front of Rossi.
And Rahal's being checked up right now by the lap car. I believe that's Carlos Munoz up front. holding up Ray Hall a bit. That's allowed Rossi to close even closer.
And it's allowed Power to get it clear of him by about a couple seconds. So that's really, really hurrying him.
Down to pit lane and Katie.
And Tim Cindric calls the shots for leader Joseph Newgarden, who is currently on reds. His teammate Will Power behind him on blacks. Tim, why did you decide to go with those reds for the middle stint?
It just looks like the track right now. We needed to have a good in and out lap just to be sure we didn't get caught behind lap traffic. And you know, I think most of the guys, it's traditional that you go reds on the last stop unless they're having a problem. So just trying to keep our gap and hope it stays green here.
And he is starting to pull a gap on Will Power. What is he doing different than the rest of his teammates?
I think he's just in a really good rhythm, and the car's really good right now. So, you know, hopefully we can get through this thing with another 15 laps of green and see what happens.
And if he ends up winning this thing, Jan, he'll be the points leader.
Okay, and you mentioned Will Power, John Boslog on the radio. Early on, it looked like Will had it handled, and then he slowed. Did you feed him a fuel number at that point early on?
Yeah, I didn't hear the question, but yeah, we're just running to a fuel number to try and get us, get good fast running, but not have to do another stop. He's doing really well. We're playing, playing the tire game with our team cars, and we're just got our sticker reds for the end, and we'll see what's happening. Newgarden's got a great car today, so it's all on him.
Have you already made that decision for sure on sticker reds? Because it seems like it'd be a lot of debate between black and red to finish. Have you made that decision, sticker red?
Well, that's what we saved them for, but things could change. But it depends on the length of the stint, at the end. So we'll see. But that's the plan right now.
All right. Again, the reason they fuel save is so it gives them options at the end of the race. It's not that they necessarily need to save to get to the end, but they want to have more options. As you just heard, it makes a difference on the length of the stints.
All makes sense, guys?
I think so. Let me get my calculator out. But I think the tire decision is going to be key here. And the tires have led to Alexander Rossi with the fastest lap of the race by half a second over the field right now. So Rossi's flying.
We got a long way to go. We got 40 laps to go, and that's a lot of running here and a lot of exercise on the neck. A lot can happen.
Well, while we watch what happens here in Mid-Ohio, we are always interested in the future. We touched on it during pre-race, but our insider Robin Miller joins us now. What are you hearing about 2018, Robin?
All right, this isn't silly season. This is insane season. James Hinchcliffe, #1 free agent. His contract's up with Sam Schmidt. He wants to stay there. Honda wants him to stay there. So they got to get together, make a deal. Takuma Sato, he's a Honda guy. If Michael Andretti stays with Honda, no problem. He likes being there. Same with Alexander Rossi. He's a Honda guy. He likes Andretti. But if Andretti goes to Chevrolet, they got to put these two guys together. Well, guess what? Sato's always been a Honda guy. He can get it up with Ray Hall. He can get it up with Dale Coyne. Now, Alex Rossi, he's had another good year. Honda's behind him. They said, what a great idea it would be maybe if they could put Rossi in with SPM, with Smith Pete Motorsport, and James Hinchcliffe. That'd be a great twosome for them. Tony Kanaan, he hasn't said now. He's saying, I'm not particularly sure I'm done with Chip Ganassi, but I could be. So he's still got a little money. He's a Honda guy. Honda wants to keep Kanaan in the series. Well, then we got Max Chilton. Max Chilton. His father owns Trevor Carlin's race team. Trevor Carlin has an Indy Lights team. He wants to be an IndyCar next year. Well, Max might be the guy that leads him into IndyCar, and I think Max has had some conversations with Charlie Kimball. And Charlie Kimball still has sponsorship from Novo Nordisk. He just doesn't have quite as much sponsorship. So Max has been trying to talk Charlie into coming with him, starting a new two-car team. Who's been one of the most impressive guys all year? Rookie Ed Jones. He wants to stay. Dale Coyne says, I'm going to try and keep this kid. Ed says, I don't have any money, I just got my helmet. So we're not sure what's going to happen to him. And the one guy that I think everybody's been impressed with this year more than ever is Spencer Pigot. He's Ed Carpenter's road course driver. But this guy needs to be a full-time race driver. He needs to be on the ovals. And I think, he doesn't have any money. Again, he's just got talent. So when you add all this up, here's the biggest domino of all, Michael Andretti. If he switches, then everything's in play and everybody's in play. If he stays with Honda, it's not going to be nearly as complicated to put drivers. But I do have a restraining order on me by Michael Andretti. I can't be within 500 yards of him, Kevin, because I've been stalking him.
Sounds like trying to figure out who's taking who to prom.
I had a restraining order with Michael. We were teammates at that time.
Well, that's a good update. Really interesting, and that's only the half of it. There are a lot of other things happening as we move into silly season, which really always starts to ramp up about August 1st. Now, back to the now. And Joseph Newgarden has controlled this race. Can he take it to victory lane for the second race in a row and take over the points lead for the first time in his career? Stay with us and find out from Mid-Ohio. Watch every IndyCar and NBC race online, on tablet, and connected TV devices with the NBC Sports app. So many great features there to catch up with all of the NBC Sports properties. That's how I watched Formula One this morning. I won't say who won because I know Jan has DVR'd it and he'll watch when he gets home tomorrow. Download the app or find out more at NBCSports.com. At Mid-Ohio, thanks for joining us with Townsend Bell and Paul Tracy, Jan Beekes, Anders Krohn, Robin Miller, Katie Hargan, I'm Kevin Lee. Pretty much all of you guys have won here. It's just me and Katie that haven't won a race here. Anders won here in USF 2000 as well, and Jan won here at Indy Lights. Well, here's Simon Pagenaud just a moment ago getting around Alexander Rossi for position. That's for fourth for one of the championship contenders.
Well, he got a nice move there, but now with Rahal, who's very, very frustrated, we saw heard some radio, we've seen some sign language. He will close in quickly on Rahal if he continues to get stuck behind the Foyt car.
Look at how quickly Simon Pagenaud absolutely dumped Rossi and took off. Pagenaud on blacks, Rossi on the reds. I'm starting to think that there's really going to be a debate whether you finish on black or reds, as Rossi's pace is really falling off.
All right, we talked with Sebastian Bourdais at Toronto, got a really good report a couple of weeks ago, and it was hinted that he might be back in the car sometime soon. Let's find out more on Pit Lane with Robin.
Well, we got a better report because he really likes Ohio, but he's going to stay an extra night because tomorrow he finally gets back in an IndyCar 10 weeks after he got hurt. Kid, I know you're looking forward to this, but you look so good, it looks like you could jump in today.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be there and getting back in the car if I wasn't ready, but you know, for now it's just testing. We'll see how it goes, kind of an evaluation day. I know after, you know, cars get transferred to ovals and everything, the doctors were okay with me getting back in the car on the 15th, and they said, yeah, 2 weeks ain't gonna make big of a difference, and physically I'm feeling good, so we'll give it a shot tomorrow, because after that, then we go to 2 ovals, and you know, timing gets a little crazy, and I probably wasn't gonna get an opportunity to test, so we just, everybody's here, everybody's just having to stay one night over for me, and then we can do a few hours of testing, feel it out and see how it goes.
You got no cane. Do you have any pain?
No. I mean, actually, I was doing the yard yesterday, so I'm feeling really good. It's rehab turned into workouts and pretty quick, so it's yeah, definitely seeing a lot of progress. And it's not linear, but you know, the guys in St. Pete taking care of me, they've done a really good job. We have kind of been pushing each other like within limits, but yeah, it was definitely good to, you know, just get back on the bike and just do everything more normal.
I'm not sure if it's your physical shape or your mental condition that got you back fast.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, the first 6.5 weeks before weight bearing, really, I don't think it made much of a difference. But then after that, obviously, you know, they kind of give you 2 weeks to go weight bearing, and I could walk straight away, which, you know, obviously we had worked on trying to reduce the muscle loss and everything, and that worked. So from there, the time to get back to 100% obviously diminished rapidly, and that was the big thing, you know, for me. Once I got to the point where I could walk, and then I started to get some feel again and build the muscles and get my butt cheek back and everything, you know, and stabilize the hip. And it was all good. So now it's definitely good. The pain is pretty much gone. You know, it's mostly only a little sore if I work out really hard, but it's just muscle pain. There's no bad pain that comes out.
Great, good to see you, brother. Have fun tomorrow in your 4 hours of driving. PT, he said he misses you.
Pretty remarkable that it's been, what, just under 2.5 months since that frightening crash on the super speedway at the Indianapolis 500. This was in qualifying.
Makes
I've seen that 50 times and it still jars me.
Oh, it's sick to your stomach to watch this. Just gets loose. He had the fastest car in the field on the qualifying run, and in practice destroys the car remarkably. He's not knocked out. He is, I mean, 10 weeks later to have the recovery he's had is unbelievable.
Broken pelvis, broken hip, repaired, ready to go. Joseph Newgarden just dispatched of the lap car of Spencer Pigot, so maybe more clear sailing for him. But one more pit stop to go in Mid-Ohio.
Back in Mid-Ohio, where Scott Dixon, he leads the points, but has had a very, very difficult day today. He said the car is still super loose. They have to wait for every ounce of Sunoco. And now there's a problem on the left rear. Everything just seems to be turning the wrong way for Scott Dixon. Oh my, Katie?
Well, it's much more positive down on my end of pit lane for Marco Andretti. He went for blacks for this final stint and needed 2 turns of front wing for stability.
Oh, Scott Dixon, and what is that like for a driver? You can't even really see what's happening. You're just wondering, why am I still sitting here?
Well, it said 18 seconds for the pit stop, but I promise you that felt like 18 minutes for Scott Dixon, and it just goes from bad to worse. He still can catch a break. If a yellow comes out before Joseph Newgarden makes his final stop or the rest of the leaders, he will leapfrog back up, but it's got to happen right now. Here comes Rossi.
And Alexander Rossi is going with a similar strategy as Marco Andretti. He too wants sticker blacks for this final stint, and we'll wait to see if the team makes an adjustment on the front wing as they get those Firestone tires off and fill it up with Sunoco fuel. And just a little bit of a front wing adjustment, Kevin.
Rossi pits from 6th, so he's the first inside the top 10 other than Dixon, who needed to come in because he was off sequence to make his stop. We saw Max Chilton during nonstop. He was one of the early ones to pit, lap 7, lap 33, and lap 60. So Chilton in that group that may have to save a lot to be able to get to the end. There's the leader, Joseph Newgarden, by over 8 seconds on Will Power. They're already thinking about what they're going to do on their final stop.
Any thoughts about using reds versus blacks?
I think black probably.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing here. Will's on blacks running the same lap time as us.
I mean, we're getting held up, but I think black would be good if we saw like gap.
10-4, just not sure about the used ones, the old ones.
Yeah, copy.
So calm, so smooth, not even breathing hard, Townsend. The guy's just talking like he's having a conversation like you and I are sitting here.
He's in great shape, totally focused, and he just gets stronger and stronger every race with this team.
And let's go back to previous years here. This is his first year with Team Penske, but with Sarah Fisher Hartman racing, with Ed Carpenter racing. Oh, Joseph Newgarden has been hooked up and had chances to win, but problems on the pit lane.
Well, that day where he ran over the air hose, he was totally dominant, had the race in control, and then this was 2016 last year. This happens with Aloshin coming straight out of his pit box right into the side of Joseph Newgarden. So he's been denied here at Mid-Ohio before, and you just get the feeling he's not going to be denied today. If he can keep up the pace, which undoubtedly he can, make sure he doesn't get unlucky under a yellow, he's going to be really tough to beat.
Well, they certainly at Penske won't make those kind of mistakes, like leaving that air hose out for him to run over was a costly mistake. Having another guy drive Indy, they're gonna pit when that pit is clean for him to come in and out, and he's in control of this whole race.
And Takuma Sato is coming in for his final stop of the day. As you see the team take off the reds there. They're also going to go for sticker reds filled up with Sunoco fuel. No changes for him, Jan.
Yes, and we're seeing that Elio Castroneves is setting out. In the meantime, we see that Hinchcliffe will take his service as well. They're going with blacks on Hinchcliffe. That seems to be the way to go, although right behind, as you see, Sato is on the red, so still not any definitive choice on what's better to finish this final stint.
Here comes Joseph Newgarden.
And we talked about his problems in the pits. This has to be a flawless stop for the 2 team as you see them go with the sticker blacks and a little bit of a front wing adjustment.
And he had really turned it up the last few laps. Lap 59, his gap on Will Power was 5 seconds. By lap 64, he was almost 10 seconds. So he turned up the wick. Newgarden has made a clean final stop. Does anyone else have anything to say? Jan Elio Castroneves is coming your way.
Yes, and we mentioned that he has made this decision now to go with sticker blacks because he had a shorter stint here on those sticker reds. He likes the car. Remember, we've mentioned he's gone back to a 2015 setup. That should suit the blacks better. Let's get back to Anders.
Ryan Hunter-Reay coming in for his final stop. He's going to sticker reds, feeling like that's the better option. Not happy at all on those blacks throughout the course of his run, adding some front wing as well. So much understeer for Ryan Hunter-Reay.
Ryan Hunter-Reay did a good job to claw himself back up to Hinchcliffe as you see Hinchcliffe going by, but Hunter-Reay should have a strong outlap. Here comes Takuma Sato, Hunter-Reay's teammate, and Sato had a really disastrous stop there. You saw the mechanic put the right hand in the air, power comes to pit lane. Sato lost a wheel nut.
You remember in our interview earlier that John Boslog said they were saving some sticker red tires for Will Power. Well, that's the exact same scenario for Graham Rahal. He said he likes the reds better. Remember, we see Simon Pagenaud is also going to be here at the same time. Wow, that was a crossover between the two teams. No contact. Graham Rahal gets underway. We look to see what they're going for. Aha, another set of red stickered sidewall Firestones. That seems the way to go. If you can get to the end here and save yourself a set. Uh-oh, and a caution.
Ed Jones.
But everybody had gotten in among the contenders.
Except J.R. Hildebrand, it looks like.
Yeah, and he had just cycled up to fifth. He hasn't been a factor all day, so that's Ed Jones, the rookie, off. And going back to what we just saw, great work by Graham Rahal's team because Simon Pagenaud was coming. They had to hold him for about 3 seconds or they would have had contact as we watch Jones loop it around.
Jones just loops it around on cold tires, but now we're going to have a race on our hands. We got guys on blacks, reds, and we'll close them all up and close the field up.
I think it's going to be really interesting because if you're on the new reds, you're probably going to have an advantage on the restart.
Sure,
so it's going to get super racy, and it's terrible news for Joseph Newgarden, who had an absolute cruise going at Mid-Ohio today, and now it's going to get dicey.
And Will Power will be behind him on reds. Graham Rahal, Simon Pagenaud also on reds.
And check this out. Will Power has 20 more seconds of push to pass than Newgarden. So this race went from mildly predictable to rub your hands together. It's going to get wild.
Here we go, boys. And the disadvantage that Graham Rahal had for spending extra time somewhat is nullified with the yellow that gets them bunched back up again. But what kind of lap traffic is going to be involved? He's right behind Will Power.
None.
So it will be 1, 2, 3 in the order there. No, it won't be.
I take it back.
No.
You've got Munoz and Gutierrez.
And this is not to the point of the race where they move lap traffic out of the way.
Well, I'll tell you what, if these, as we see,
pits are closed, so he had to take emergency fuel, did J.R. Hildebrand. But either way, he was going to stop under yellow and go to the back, so it's really not much of a penalty. Hildebrand, though, had worked his way up to 12th legitimately in the race.
These guys here are a lap down, and it would be nice if they came in and just did a little service and got out of the way and not created a problem and let the race unfold the way it should.
Because Power and Rahal might have something to say. Joseph Newgarden has seen this one go away in different circumstances. He's going to have to deal with a restart coming up in just a moment. Under yellow, our first of the day, and a restart coming up with Joseph Newgarden leading Will Power here at Mid-Ohio. Jan?
A quick word with Rico Nault. He's going to the radio right now for Graham Rahal. I know you have a restart coming, but you got to feel good about having sticker reds with a restart coming.
Yeah, I think a few of these other guys have some reds too, but Newgarden's on blacks, the 3 cars around some reds. We're in the middle of the Penske's, they're always strong. But the Steak and Shake Honda's been running really well. See if we can give them something.
All right, this will be interesting. Remember, those that wanted to have reds said, I want to get out there and fight like Graham Rahal. Joseph Newgarden said, I want a gap. Now he doesn't have one.
Well, you won't get a guy more aggressive than Graham Rahal on these restarts, so he is the X factor right here. I would find it hard to believe if Power and Newgarden really get bumpy with each other, but Graham Rahal could really throw these guys for a loop.
We had several come into pit lane just a moment ago, including Spencer Pigot, who made a rear wing change. He took some contact early in the race. And here's Connor Daly, the subject of our Chevy driver profile. Like Joseph Newgarden, he Went to Europe as a youngster and had a lot of success. He won in GP3, he had some success in GP2 as well. But the talking point this weekend has been the new vegan diet for young Connor. He's lost almost 10 pounds in the last couple of weeks, eating right.
He even lived with me for a couple of days, and he's asked Paul several times, you won't give him your address.
No, I don't like vegan.
Connor has spent some time with, he lived with Graham Rahall's stepfather. He's lived with Graham. He's lived with Inch. We like to gently call him America's guest, but we like Connor. He had a good qualifying effort. He's had some pace here this weekend right now, running in 13th position. What does Will Power have for his teammate? But he's got a lap car of Esteban Gutierrez right in front of him, separating him from the leader, Joseph Newgarden.
Well, I hope he does the courtesy move out of the way in the first couple corners. These guys are winding it up pretty quick here. It's kind of spread out, but he comes from a Formula One background. Hopefully he just pulls out of the way.
Oh, he's going to be right in the thick of it.
Why are these guys hanging back so far? That's what I want to know.
Well, they'll restart where they started, over on the backstretch, so it's not here yet. This is a unique track because this main straightaway, it's just not long enough to get everybody back on the main straightaway. So traditionally, in most series, not all series, but in most series, including IndyCar, they have started outside of the keyhole. This is one that they're going through. They're headed down to the keyhole, which is turn 2, and that longest stretch does have a little kink, turn 3, but that passing zone is into turn 4. So right here is where they're going to start to get ready. That blue and white car up front is Joseph Newgarden, who has dominated most of this race. Third in line is his teammate Will Power. The lap car of Gutierrez, second in line, green again, restarting at Mid-Ohio. Power trying to dispatch of the lap car. He'll quickly go to the inside, but has to bounce back to the outside. Gutierrez locks him up. Power cannot gain the track position, and Newgarden is going to scoot away.
Not sure what Power, I'd be like, what is this guy doing?
Gutierrez trying to outbrake Joseph Newgarden a lap down, and he's just flat in the way as Scott Dixon's trying to force his way through. Here comes Hunter Ray. Nice move from RHR. He makes 2 spots on that restart.
Gutierrez still in the mix, has not moved out of the way a lap down. It's your obligation once you get lapped to get out of the way of the leaders, so he is not playing fair.
The rule says final 15 laps. Lap cars drive through. It's driver and team discretion, and they decided to keep him in there and let him fight with the leaders a lap down.
Joseph Newgarden is loving this. Remember at Road America where Newgarden was caught out on the black tires during a restart that cost him the win, and this buffer with Gutierrez is absolutely handing the position to Newgarden as you see Sato force his way up side Rossi.
And guys, Dale Coyne just got on the radio of Esteban Gutierrez and said, you can unlap yourself here. We want you to see you fight for a position here in the race, and we want you to see you unlap yourself as Will Power almost makes the pass here into turn 4.
How do we feel about that?
I don't know.
You're going to unlap the guy that's been dominating the race. Yeah. Almost had a 10-second lead at one point. Penske car, that's a tall order for him to pull off. He hasn't been that quick all weekend, so that's a bad call by Dale Coyne.
Well, listen, you unlap yourself and yellow comes out, you're still going to the back of the field for the restart. So it's tough to watch here as we want to see the battle. Will Power right now really struggling to make anything happen behind Gutierrez. That only helps somebody like Simon Pagenaud with the field bunching up in front of him.
Pagenaud on board in 4th. Looking up ahead at Rahal. Then Power in the silver car. The blue and white 18 is Esteban Gutierrez. 3 years in Formula One, joined the IndyCar Series mid-season this year, ultimately replacing Sebastian Bourdais in the 18 car. But Gutierrez has said, he told Robin Miller that I like it here and I plan on coming back next year.
Well, he might be coming back next year, but he's not making any friends today, I'll tell you that.
That was kind of my thought. I understand that you want to fight for your position, but as a rookie, it might be better served to establish yourself.
These are the times you take a mental note and you say, all right, buddy, next time you're having a good day and I'm not having a great day.
Well, still not done yet. 18 to go. Right now, it looks like it's Joseph Newgarden's day again. In control, IndyCar in Mid-Ohio. perfect summer day in Central Ohio. They've been treated to some interesting developments here in today's IndyCar race, the Honda Indy 200 at Mid-Ohio. They saw Joseph Newgarden make a masterful pass on his teammate Will Power in the backstretch early in the race, and since then Newgarden has dominated. He's ahead of Will Power by now 3 seconds. Rahal is third, Pagenaud fourth, Sato is fifth. Not long ago, look at this battle here. Graham Rahal was trying to take that second position on Power.
Rahal's been doing a great job getting out of the previous corner, the keyhole. Will Power just outbrakes him and just barely makes contact. Almost makes contact right there. Just pushes him out of the way and says, you have to do a better job than that, son. Now we're 15 laps to go. I wonder if they start to display the blue flag. Gutierrez has dropped back now.
I think they burned up their reds trying to get by Gutierrez, because I think Gutierrez is on.
He pitted.
Oh, he pitted. Okay, so he's gone now, but it's left a big gap to the back of Joseph Newgarden. So these guys now have got to get together and put in some hard laps to try to catch. If they're going to have a chance at Newgarden, they've got to catch him first.
The problem, though, is they burned up tires and push to pass just dealing with Gutierrez there, and now Newgarden hasn't burned a second of push to pass. He has 91 seconds left, Power 70, Rahal 39, Pagenaud 39.
Yeah, Rahal's been using it trying to get by Power the last few laps. He's had a couple of nice runs on him, but with Gutierrez in front, there just always seemed to be a pick in the way for him to get by.
There's your push to pass. And Rahal has the least of those contenders. Pagenaud, though, on equal ground. But look at Joseph Newgarden.
And there you see when it goes green, that's Takuma Sato burning a second, 2 seconds. They're able to turn it on and off at will. So Sato trying to close the gap a little bit to Pagenaud with a little extra horsepower.
Sato recovering nicely. Had a really bad pit stop. Wheel gun fell out of the nut fell out of the wheel gun, flew across the track. The guy had to get another one. Cost him a few spots, but he's recovered nicely.
You know who else has recovered well is Ryan Hunter-Reay. He went around with contact with his teammate Rossi early in the race, and he's running 8th right now.
And he's only 2 seconds back of Alexander Rossi, who's right there. There's the 28 DHL car, Ryan Hunter-Reay. If he can get around Castroneves, it's going to be on between teammates Rossi and RHR again.
Castroneves' position is important for the championship. You saw the points as they run. Not long ago, Elio at the moment would be 7 behind his teammate Joseph Newgarden. Scott Dixon would drop from the lead to 3rd. He would be 10 back, and he has been in charge of the championship for quite some time, since just after the Indianapolis 500. He took the points lead during the Detroit doubleheader weekend.
And just back from Ryan Hunter-Reay sits James Hinchcliffe and Scott Dixon. Unfortunately for Hinchcliffe, he's blown all the push to pass. He's all out of Skittles. He started with a full box. Movie's not over. Hinchcliffe's got nothing left, and here's Dixon. Dixon's now in command with 74 seconds to push to pass. He might have a run right here.
Well, he's got a run on him right here. There's nothing that Hinchcliffe can do. Scott's on the push to pass. He'll be by him before even the brake zone starts. Look at that. Easy peasy.
That's a good indication of what that extra horsepower will do.
And right now, Scott Dixon's only a point out of 2nd place. He is in 3rd. Castroneves 2nd. They're separated by a point, so every pass Dixon can make here really matters in the championship.
So that pass alone worth 2 points right there, from 10 back of Newgarden as they run to 8 back and 1 within Castroneves. And Castroneves has been challenged at times by Hunter-Reay. He's got about an 0.8 of a second gap right now. The gap is 3.6 seconds with just over 10 to go for Joseph Newgarden. There's 2nd place. Will Power in the silver car. The Steak and Shake car runs in 3rd. Pagenaud, Sato, Rossi, and there's Castroneves running in 7th.
Daly here's got 30 seconds of push to pass left. He's right now pulling up on the back.
Yeah, but
as we look at Castroneves.
I was going to say, how long did Daly live with Hinchcliffe? What kind of IOU is involved in what we talked about earlier? There's Connor Daly. He's going to try to make a move on his former landlord.
Word on the street is he ate all his Pop-Tarts.
But now he's vegan, so it's safe again. That was a great radio transmission from Barber a few years ago from Graham Rahal, complaining about Connor not getting out of the way. Come on, the guy lived in my dad's house forever.
I think in the basement.
Again, everyone loves Connor. They like to have a little fun with him, but he's having a good day here today. he's in position for his second best result of the season. And he really looks good with the vegan diet. He's got me thinking about it. I don't think I'm strong enough to do that, though.
Back out to 4-second lead, so in control, Joseph Newgarden.
So does anyone have anything for the 26-year-old from Tennessee? Will Power is hoping that the tires fall off for Newgarden. Stay with us and find out from Mid-Ohio. 8 laps to go at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. And Joseph Newgarden continues to dominate. Nearly 4 seconds in front of Will Power. There's Power. The red and black car is Graham Rahal running in third. Simon Pagano, the bright yellow Menards car, is in fourth. Takuma Sato in fifth. Now, meanwhile, on nonstop, you may have seen a battle for 10th. Connor Daly took a look at James Hinchcliffe, used up some of his remaining push to pass, but couldn't get it done going into turn number 4. That's Marco Andretti in the white, red, and blue car, and Charlie Kimball, the green and black, behind him.
On board with Mikhail Aloshin, he's trying to work on these guys. This is a battle for 12th position. If he can close up just a little bit, he might factor in with these last 7 laps.
It's been a quiet but solid day here for Mikhail Aloshin. Exactly what he needed. If you remember, the team sat him down in Toronto, out of the car, in with Sebastian Saavedra. That was just a warning sign saying, we need you to stop crashing. Then we saw in practice he had that crash, and then now he's having a solid run. So, yeah, Mikhail Aloshin maybe not up there near the front, but doing exactly what he needs to, just solidly and without damage.
Behind him, we see Max Chilton, who's going to be married in just a couple of weeks. He and his fiancée Chloe have known each other, been friends since they were little kids.
What can he expect, PT?
Well, Connor Daly makes the move on his old slumlord right there. So, hey, I'll eat your Hot Pockets and your Pop-Tarts and pass you for position, buddy.
His old slumlord. By the way, way to divert the attention on the question that Townsend asked.
Oh, well.
So Hinchcliffe drops back to 11th. Hasn't been as good as he would like this weekend with the handling of the car. Connor Daly in position for a top 10. He finished 7th at Texas. Remember, that was when he basically had 7 cars finish, and even Connor, I think, was going around. He didn't have any brakes at the end of the race.
It's been a really tough season for Connor Daly, but he stuck with it. And, you know, Toronto was progress. Here was more progress. He used to race with this guy, Joseph Newgarden. They grew up in go-karts together, one from Indianapolis, one from Nashville. They went to Europe together in the junior formulas, part of the Team USA scholarship.
Mark Dismore's track at Newcastle is where they raced. They both thought about Formula One for a while. Both decided this is going to be the place to be. They raced in Europe and had some success over there, but more success in IndyCar and big-time success for this guy. We've talked before about him being on the brink of superstardom. Today, I think, is going to possibly be another day that we remember in the development of Joseph Newgarden.
Well, when's the last time you saw a guy come in his first year at Penske and not struggle like Simon Pagano did his first year, like Power did his first year, learning the systems, meeting all the new people, 400 employees, new engineers, new team managers, new radio guy, and this guy has just flourished in that environment, and now he's going to be the championship leader. He's Roger's new guy. Here's a guy right here that could spend 20 years like Castro Neves did.
And don't underestimate the benefit, the value that came with Tim Cindric moving over to Joseph Newgarden for this year. The president of Team Penske left the stand of Will Power to go to Joseph Newgarden, and that guy, I mean, there's nobody better in the business in terms of keeping your young driver calm, giving him the information he needs, and letting him go to work. Joseph Newgarden is going to come out of here if he wins this race with the championship lead and really the star of Team Penske.
Tim said he just wants to be there and see how this transition is going. It was challenging for Simon Pagano a couple of years ago, so they learned some things from that. So I'm in charge, I'm responsible, I might as well be there and make sure it's going the way we want it to go because we believe in Joseph Newgarden. It's not that they don't believe in the other drivers because the other 3 are still all championship contenders this year and as long as they're in a Penske car.
They believe and he's delivering.
Yeah, there's a reason. And he is backing up what people have talked about for a few years. When is Joseph Newgarden going to get the chance? I think a lot of us love seeing him. We see Graham Rahal working on Will Power. Rahal, can he get second position?
26 seconds left to push to pass, 41 for Power. Power defended on the push to pass late on the straightaway, so Graham Rahal is working the back end of Will Power's car. Simon Pagenaud really hasn't had much for these two. I expected him to be a little bit more racy and kind of challenged, but the guy who's aggressive is Graham.
This is where the on-off push to pass, to me, you lose a little bit with the drivers being able to turn it on and turn it off as opposed to using, say, 15 seconds at a time, because Will Power can just tempt Graham Rahal. As soon as Rahal pushes it, Power turns it on for when he needs it, and it can be so frustrating for the trailing driver knowing that, yeah, it might be a little quicker, but he has more push to pass in the bag and can just keep that carrot ever so frustratingly in front of my nose.
Pagenaud's not too far behind there in the yellow car. And then Takuma Sato with a really good run today in fifth.
You see that Graham Rahal lost a little bit of that distance, bit of a gap now on Will Power. He this weekend, and he said actually for the last couple of years, they've had a tendency with this car that right in turn in, especially up there at that previous corner at the keyhole, it gets loose. So all of a sudden, as you said, Paul, he's been lightning fast in the practice sessions. I asked, so did you guys finally find a cure to that problem? He says, no, I've just had to figure out how to drive around it and hang on. Doesn't seem to be a cure for it. I'm just throwing everything I have, caution to the wind, and right now that can cause problems when you're in turbulent air.
Keep in mind the championship implications here in this battle for second place. It's not just to move up a step on the podium. Rahal in third. That's a difference of 5 points, and those two drivers, Power and Rahal, are still very much in the championship fight, as is Simon Pagenaud in fourth. Back there in that yellow car. That's a 3-point swing from third to fourth.
It's all kind of spread out here now. It's going to be Graham Rahal's really going to need to close up. There's only 2 to go here, so he's going to really need to have to close that gap in the next, in all the twisty parts of the track and get off up the keyhole well.
Well, and if I'm Will Power and I'm on the stand for Will Power, I'm saying, listen, burn up the push to pass now. Every straightaway you should be using it. You have 29 seconds left. There's a lap and a half to go. We don't want to leave anything on the table and risk Graham Rahal having a chance to make a lunge on the final lap.
Well, Power was just on it, and Rahal. Rahal down to 10 now, Power at 28. So it's advantage to Will Power, but Joseph Newgarden's got 74 seconds. He can push that thing all the way around the track for the next 2 laps.
He has absolutely schooled the field, as Joseph Newgarden today. Just untouchable. White flag. Boy, what a pretty sight here. Mid-Ohio, glorious day. He's been denied twice before through no fault of his own. He's the fastest guy on track and nothing but clear track in front of him.
You know, we love to see side-by-side action going to the finish line, and that's always entertaining, but there's something to be said about a dominant, brilliant performance, and that's what Joseph Newgarden has delivered today.
He's on the push to pass again, so he's going to use it all the way around the track.
He wants fastest lap of the race. He has got a 106.0, Alexander Rossi with a 105.9. So Joseph Newgarden wants to find half a tenth to lay claim to full domination today. That's why he's on push to pass.
0 for Rahal. He is out of push to pass. Power, 11 seconds left. Pagenaud has 5, but right now, it is all Joey Newjive.
He heads into turn 10. Power in second just now through turn 9. A couple of turns to go. Joseph Newgarden will go back-to-back in IndyCar. He will take the championship lead for the first time. Joseph Newgarden dominates at Mid-Ohio. And just now, Will Power and Graham Rahal have crossed the line. Power holds on to second, and Rahal, Pagenaud, Sato the top 5, followed by Rossi, Castroneves, Hunter-Reay, Dixon, and Connor Daly 10th.
So he's got a 7-point lead in the championship, does Joseph Newgarden. A weekend off to enjoy it. Life doesn't get much better than that, Paul.
No, the last 2 weeks have been dominating for him. He's going to light it up a little bit. Here comes his teammate. That was a fantastic run. Stalked his teammate early, made the move right before the pit stops, and just maintained his gap of 5 to 6 seconds for the whole race.
Well, everyone should applaud Joseph Newgarden today because he got it done on track. There was no strategy. There was no timely yellow. He made the pass on his teammate Will Power during the first stint, and then he and his team were flawless the rest of the day. Scott Dixon with the salutes.
You know what's cool about Joseph Newgarden as I watch all the other drivers come by and give him a thumbs up? He didn't have any enemies. This guy doesn't race people dirty. It's hard to find fault with Joseph Newgarden. And this was the move. This could be the best pass I've ever seen at Mid-Ohio. Sets him up high, goes low on Will Power, just slices it in there ninja style to take the lead.
And then he checked out almost immediately. That was equally impressive today for Joseph Newgarden. And he's the first three-time winner in 2017. And he's talked before, the tracks I've won at this year with Team Penske, I've won at before. He won at Barber this year, where he won at in 2015. Same with Toronto 2 weeks ago. So he said it's time to win somewhere new. This is somewhere new. A first-time winner. Joseph Newgarden has been so good here, but he had never finished better than 10th.
Yeah, I think this will be very special because the two chances he should have won were denied. Again, no fault of his own, and this was just a perfect performance.
Driving distance for maybe some friends, about 7 hours from the Nashville area, a little less than that, more like 6 hours from Nashville. Now makes his home in Charlotte near Team Penske headquarters. And that is an enjoyable drive down the pit lane. Headed to the victory circle here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Joseph Newgarden parks it in victory lane. So Newgarden now has a 7-point lead on Helio Castroneves in the championship. Dixon is 8 back, Pagenaud 17 back, Power minus 52, Ray Hall minus 58. And there are only 4 races remaining. The next 2 on ovals, starting with Pocono and then Gateway. We'll watch Joseph Newgarden
You know, at half
climb
distance,
out of his car and then celebrate.
Half distance, he wasn't even huffing and puffing. He's barely sweating there, Paul. This guy's in incredible shape at a track. This is the most demanding race on the calendar.
Will Power right there to congratulate him, the captain. Roger Penske had a good day. 1, 2, 4, 7 for Penske and Chevy. And there's the winner, Joseph Newgarden, in the PPG colors, winning here at Mid-Ohio for the 2nd year in a row.
And Joseph Newgarden's bad luck here at Mid-Ohio vanishes, and he gets back-to-back wins for Team Penske. Huge celebrations down here in Victory Lane for the 2-team. Joseph, the first 3-time winner in the 2017 season, and we're used to seeing people struggle in their first season with Team Penske, but not you.
Well, I got a great crew. You know, I mean, when they give me a car like this, it's pretty. I don't want to say it's easy, but it's easier at least. You know, I think we've been hitting on all cylinders, no pun intended. But these guys are awesome this weekend. I had good stops. Just a really fast car. I mean, reds, blacks didn't matter. I thought the car was fast, so I just tried to do my job. I think everyone's going to want to drive this PPG car. I'm pretty sure it was lucky for Pagenaud last year. I think it's lucky for us, so we're going to probably be fighting over this car paint.
You brought up how good your car was on both reds and blacks, but you were the only one in the top 5 in blacks on that last stint. Was that the difference?
I was a little bit worried, actually, to be honest. I think we could have been faster on reds, but, you know, we made that decision with the gap we had. I think we had about 10 seconds, so I said, Tim, you know, if we still have this gap, let's keep blacks. I think that's probably going to be the better option for us, better durability. You know, the reds are quicker out of the gate, but I just thought the blacks would be better at the end. So I was worried because on a restart they were terrible. I had so much pickup on the tire, could barely get going. As soon as the tires cleaned up, I was just fine. So great job to this 2-car crew. I mean, we're getting after it, I'll tell you that.
I got a little bit of news for you too, Joseph. You are now the points leader over Helio Castroneves by 7.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I was wondering where Dixon was. I was looking at all the cars around me. I go, this has got to be a good points days for us. So, you know, we just got to keep it up. No mistakes. If we don't have any mistakes, we got plenty enough to win this championship. So we're going to keep in it. We'll see what we got for the last 4 races.
And just so you know, Dixon is now 3rd in points. Kevin?
And the PPG colors, as he mentioned, wins here for the second year in a row. Joseph Newgarden in the season has won 2 times in a row. Back-to-back wins. He leads the championship for the first time ever, and it's the first time an American has led the IndyCar championship since Ryan Hunter-Reay was in front mid-season back in 2014. Yeah! Stay with us, more to come from Mid-Ohio. Post-race coverage continues for IndyCar from Mid-Ohio, but right now on NBCSN, you can see Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series racing from Pocono, and then the re-air of this event right after NASCAR is done. It will be at Pocono for IndyCar in 3 weeks. Down to pit lane with Robin Miller.
Scott, you started as point leader. You're now third. Maybe one of your worst days ever here. It looked like something bad was wrong with the car.
Yeah, really bizarre, even from the get-go. Well, we started the race with an overboost on the initial start, which hurt us pretty big. And then, I don't know, the car just had no rear end all day, especially when we went to that second stint there. It was 2 or 3 seconds a lap off. You know, I was holding the whole field up there. I was trying to just maintain anything, but couldn't turn. You know, as soon as I turned the wheel, it just wanted to spin out. And we took a ton of front wing out on one of the stops there to try and help it. It helped a little bit on the blacks, but, you know, still didn't fix. I think something mechanically is broken on the rear of the car. And then we had a gun failure too there, which killed us in that pit stop, and it was just one of those days where I think everything possibly could have gone wrong. And, you know, it's frustrating, but you know, that's how it goes sometimes. You know, we're very fortunate to be where we are. We've still got an opportunity, still a very tight, you know, points race. Obviously, congratulations to Joseph. Didn't get to see much of the front of the grid today, but
you usually make it look like this.
Yeah, well, you know, congrats to them, and you know, we got our hands full today, but I think we can turn around. Hopefully, in a couple of weeks, we can have a good one.
Well, there's 4 races to go. You're only 8 points behind. This is usually when you make your move.
Yeah, we've been thinking that for the last couple of races too. So you know, we'll keep digging here. You know, we've got some tests coming up here and try to improve the car, but you know, I think just one of those days. You know, it's one to forget. We'll try and move on as quickly as possible, and you know, hopefully we can get that NTT data car back up on the podium here soon.
Thanks, Scotty. Jan?
Of course, Will Power, one of the first things he said when he got out of the car after he congratulated Joseph Newgarden was, man, that's too many second places here. You had a good car, it looked like, at the beginning, though.
It was okay. Yeah, we just had too much push on reds. I think we were pretty good on blacks, but we're even at the end there. The red tyres at front just would not work. But, yeah, solid day for points. Obviously, it's still very mixed up there, but we just got to keep making hay.
Now, what about that move by Joseph Newgarden? He kind of went one way, faded the other way, and that was a pretty aggressive move. Did you think he was going to duck to the inside?
Yeah, he was very smart. He put his push to pass on. They said on the button. I put it on. Then he said off, and he went off. Then back on again. Then ducked to the inside. So, yeah, I was starting to struggle with a bit of push, but yeah, he was very strong. He was very, very strong. We'd be tough to beat today.
So what did you say to him when you went up to congratulate him for his job today?
I said, good job, man. Good job. That's a solid win.
Now, something that certainly played into the end of the race was Esteban Gutierrez, who was trying to fight. He had a call, we're told, to try to stay on the lead lap. What's your feeling of how that went down?
Yeah, I mean, I understand if he's leading, once the leader is ahead of him. I don't understand why they have that. IndyCar wants good racing, but yet they leave a back marker right. Someone a lap down in between first and second. It's why? What a waste of a good race it could have been.
Was that a case where the tires and the push to pass got burned trying to get by him?
Yeah, some of it, yeah. And then I just backed off and left a gap because, I was going to make a mistake trying to get someone who wasn't even involved in the race.
All right, well, still a great day for Will Power. Second, again, Anders.
And a solid day here for Graham Rahal. Graham, not quite the win you had in 2015, but you got to be stoked about a podium today.
Yeah, it was a good run. I think our guys did a great job in the pits, and, strategy was fine. Our car had great pace today, just could never quite get in clear air, but I'm really proud of everybody in the Steak and Shake team. We work hard for this, and obviously to be the only team, in the top 5 other than a Penske speaks volumes to the quality of people that we have in this organization. So, keep our heads down, keep working hard. Obviously, another good day for Turns for Troops, and United Rentals raised a lot of money to help the veterans today. And we'll be back strong in Pocono or wherever we go next.
And you had a great battle there with Will Power. What was holding you back from being able to make that move?
Well, I broke as late as I could. He obviously broke late too, locked up, slid across my bow. Luckily, I
I saw him. I mean, that could have easily been both of us gone. So, you know, I'll talk to him about that later. But, you know, overall, hard racing today. You know, it is what it is, and we'll go from here.
Talked a bit about racing against those multi-car teams. You have Team Penske with 4 cars, Chip Ganassi with 4 cars, Andretti with 4 cars. How are you able to be this competitive in a 1-car team?
It's hard work. You know, I think you know, our guys are working very hard. In many ways, I think outwork them, and you know, we just have to outdrive them as best we can. So, you know, I mean, we were hanging on today. It was a lot of work out there, but you know, a good solid day. It's really hats off to all my guys because they work very hard back in the shop. I mean, we're a 20 person team up against a 400 person team at Team Penske. So I think, you know, quality over quantity. I mean, they've got great quality and they've got quantity, and we've just got a lot of quality.
Graham Rahal doing a good job as always. Paul Tracy's favorite driver on track.
And his 4th straight good result here at his hometown track at Mid-Ohio, all in the top 5, and his 2nd podium here. Plenty more to come from Mid-Ohio. We'll talk championship too. Stay with us. Team Penske in victory circle, the number 2 car, the PPG colors. Again here at Mid-Ohio, Joseph Newgarden wins for the first time here, the 3rd time this season, the 2nd in a row. Simon Pagenaud had those colors when he won last year, and he's with Katie.
But it was a solid top 5 finish for last year's winner today. Kevin, Simon, how important is consistency in the overall championship battle?
Yeah, it's important. We're only 17 points behind, so we got a little bit more points, but the leader is Joseph now, and he's on the roll, so we're gonna have to catch him up. Congratulations to him. I mean, it's great to see him winning. He's doing a tremendous job for his first year at Team Penske, so congrats to him. We're gonna catch you, buddy. Don't go too fast. But you know, at the end of the day, I think it's gonna be a very, very tight year. I think you guys are gonna have a great show, and you're gonna have to be really strong in Sonoma. You know, get the pole and win the race. I think is gonna win you the championship.
You mentioned just how physical this race was just before we came back from commercial break. You also had some really good battles with Alexander Rossi today.
Yeah, it was really clean racing. Also with Elio at the start, it was really good racing out there. We managed to do some side-by-side and very clean, very respectful. I really enjoyed it, and I was glad to be the winner of that. But yeah, it was a good pass. I was really happy there. But overall, the Menards car was good all weekend. It's just a shame we didn't qualify a little better because it would have changed completely the weekend. But so far, so good. You know, you got to be satisfied with being in the hunt for the championship still with 4 races to go.
17 points back from your teammate Joseph Newgarden. Can you win it?
Well, I did last year. Why not? We'll certainly give it a big push at the end. I'm back in good. You know, I found my stride again, really. But there's a very, very strong competition. There's a lot of guys on top of their game right now, and it's going to be important to bring your A game at the right time. And I think the next 4 races are very, very, very important, obviously, to win it.
Speaking of being on your A game, Jan has Elio.
Yes, and you heard Simon mention about a battle with his teammate, of course, Elio Castroneves off the start, and you mentioned that too. That was some tough going, but some clean racing.
Yeah, no, it's unfortunately when you have cold tires, obviously sometimes it's hard. I just turned so much, and I was so tight in the corner, the car just started pushing. It was just a gentle touch, but thank God nothing broke. But it was a good start. I knew he was coming very, very strong. And then all of a sudden, just trying to brake as deep as I can, trying to find a way outside because there was a little bit of a grip there. But then as soon as I turned in, Graham just braked. I was like, man. So I tried. It was a good battle. It was a clean one. But obviously the day today wasn't mine or Simon's. It was definitely Joseph. He was flying, like really, really flying. But again, it's one of those things that you got to keep pushing yourself. We had a little issue in the end on the restart. We had a boost penalty. We lost about 2 positions from Takuma Sato and the 98 car. So it was it's valuable points, but this is probably the worst or result or the weakest spot that we have. Now we're going to the next one, and I feel that we have a great chance to be back again on the highest place on the podium.
Now, one place that you lost a little bit of track position as well, you had a really good pit stop. I think it was pit stop number 2. You got right out behind Simon, and then we saw Takuma Sato had to get out of the way and then checked you up. What happened in that situation?
Yeah, it was kind of like I would have been in the middle, and I can see, especially 2 guys like that, it's going to be a bad result. So it's better to lose 2 positions than actually lose the entire race. So it was a shame, but in the end we're able to get back. As I said, unfortunately with the little software that we had, it got boost penalty. But great job, Team Penske again. Gave me a phenomenal car. Hitachi Chevy was really good, and man, I can't wait to go back to the next race and do better.
All right, still a lot of guys, including Elio Castroneves, involved in this championship fight.
And that next race will be Pocono in 3 weeks, and he has not lost a lot of ground in the championship because it's been a rough couple of weeks for Scott Dixon. Here is what's to come. 2 straight ovals. Do we think Honda has a little advantage when we see Pocono?
I don't know. I mean, certainly you could make an argument that the horsepower has been strong with Honda, but I looked at Gateway there in St. Louis. Haven't been there for a long time. That's a tricky track. Paul, we've raced there a few times, and it should be really interesting to see how all these teams acclimate to that track being back on the schedule.
Certainly it's wide open. You got a mix of a super speedway, a mile, really fast banked oval, and 2 natural road courses that are really tough.
Such diversity. If Honda has an advantage, although it seems very close now, most seem to feel that Gateway will be advantage Chevy at this point, but remember, they've got a repave recently. There's Simon Pagenaud saluting his teammate Joseph Newgarden, who is the man of the day today in Mid-Ohio. Time to spray the champagne. We just missed it. Podium celebrations underway. Joseph Newgarden, Will Power on the podium. Graham Rahal as well at Mid-Ohio. And another good day today for Alexander Rossi. He finished 6th and is with Katie.
And a solid result for Alexander Rossi, but Alex, you had quite a furious battle with your teammate Ryan Hunter-Reay. What happened there?
Yeah, I was on reds and he was on blacks, and I think we were fighting each other pretty close. And you know, it was a 50-50 deal. It's unfortunate that would ever happen to a teammate. We've talked about it, and we'll move on. But it's one of those things where I thought he had enough space, and from that replay, it looks like he had a bit of space. He had space to go. We didn't touch. He hit the curb. But like I said, you never want to see it happen to a teammate. So we'll hash it out over the next couple of days, and we'll be back working together in Pocono.
What did Ryan say to you?
Oh, I mean, obviously he's frustrated, which he has every right to be if you have a result like that. So we talked about it, and like I said, we'll move on and be back at it in Pocono.
We'll see you in 2 weeks, Alex. Kevin?
And Ryan Hunter-Reay did recover to finish in 8th position, a couple of spots behind Alexander Rossi. They were battling for 5th at the time. All right, here is the full field rundown.
Well, looking at the results, again, you know, nice runs from Graham Rahal, exceptional job as a one-car team. And I look down to P10 there, Connor Daly. Not a top 5, not a win, not a podium, but he needed a finish like that. A great job from the young American from Indianapolis.
Also note that Scott Dixon has still, outside of the crash at Indianapolis, despite some difficulties at times, finished in the top 10 in every race.
Things started off really well for Marco Andretti. He was really racy. We don't really know why he fell back, but he was having a good run the first half of the race.
And look at 3 other Ganassi drivers, Paul, with Kimball, Chilton, and Kanaan. This could be the worst day ever at Mid-Ohio for a team that usually dominates here.
So let's look how the championship stands. We've talked about this throughout the day. It is a major storyline with just 4 races remaining and still at least 4 right there. But still, I think you could go back to 6 because of double points at Sonoma.
Newgarden leaps up 3 positions, and he's got a huge run of momentum now. Dixon falls to 3rd. Pagenaud still within striking distance, but Will Power and Graham Rahal just looks like a pretty big gap there, but still 4 races to go. Anything's possible.
Pocono, Gateway, Watkins Glen, and Sonoma still to play for. Formula One is on their summer break. IndyCar has a 2-weekend off situation, and then Pocono in 3 weeks. Well, NASCAR Monster Energy Cup Series from the Glen is coming up next Sunday at 2:30 Eastern on NBCSN. IndyCar continues on NBCSN from Pocono. Join us Sunday, August 20th at 2 o'clock Eastern for the Pocono 500. For Townsend Bell, Paul Tracy, Jan Beekes, Anders Krohn, Robin Miller, and Katie Hargett, I'm Kevin Lee. Congratulations, Joseph Newgarden, 2 in a row today in Mid-Ohio.